What is going on out there, everybody? Another Modeling Monday. Kind of a mucky. I don't know if we would call this a mucky Monday. Getting some really terrible weather outside, and just felt good, I guess, as far as to come inside and just forget about that. Forget about all that nonsense going on here. So, especially for those that are down south or whatever, you're probably having some better weather. But, yeah. Hope everybody's doing well. Just getting some things loaded up here. Trying to keep these things going on time. Usually try to go online here, I guess, as far as about 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Kind of gets everybody riled up, I guess, as far as getting ready, I guess, as far as for close of the day. Some of y'all out there might even be just getting up, and that's fair too. I feel like I've just begun to start my day. We get to have some fun, I guess, as far as doing a little bit of modeling, testing out the fruits of our labor, and yeah, have a lot of fun with it. So one of the things, kind of a prelude, I guess, as far as for what we're about to get into. For those that did tune into the stream for Spline Design Studios Saturday, I'm going to be finishing up, I guess, as far as what we started, I guess, as far as on that. Quite a bit done, I guess, as far as with that building that we're working on. Not trying to give too much away. I'll be showing you here in just a second, just as soon as everything loads up. Really looking forward to getting a little bit anxious, I guess, to be able to show this thing off, I guess, as far as in its element within the game that we're trying to create this for, which happens to be Farming Simulator 22. So yeah. Pre-rolls should be off if I'm doing right here. So I've taken a little bit different approach to, I guess, as far as with the way I do the ads. So I'll be running, for those that aren't subbed to the channel, as I take breaks, I guess, as far as throughout the stream here, I'll be running 30-second ads just to make sure that the pre-rolls coming into, those new coming into the stream that aren't subbed to the channel as well, won't get any pre-rolls. So that's kind of the different approach I'm taking, I guess, as far as to running ads here on the channel. It does give me a little bit more freedom, I guess, as far as to control when the ads play in comparison to when Twitch feels it's necessary to run those. So we're going to see how this works. I figure there's really no way around the ads, but if I can control them more, I guess, as far as than Twitch does, then we'll try and do that. Okay, are we ready for this, folks? Kind of anxious, I guess, to kind of show what we've been able to accomplish here. Lots have been accomplished here, so let's go right into it. Let's get right into it. Let's bring this over. So here we go. This is what we had started on for Spline Design Studios Saturday this past weekend, and yeah, just finishing up what we need to do with it. So we did apply much more detail, I guess, as far as to the interior, to include the windows and the back door. So if I render this really quick, you can get an idea. I also have this open up here in our Giants editor. This is the same model that we're looking at there, I guess, as far as in here. One thing, I will be making some adjustments here. I'll probably remove the floor, keeping in mind that we do have the ability as far as to use the leveling feature as far as the scripting of that. So we can add ground texture to our building without putting a physical floor. So I'm almost feeling, depending on where you put it on the map there, as far as the way the leveling works, especially the one we're having dynamically loaded, there's really no need to have a floor. Plus, I wasn't really too happy with the way the scaling of that texture on the floor was actually turning out. So probably going to remove that and just make use of the the leveling as far as the ground textures. Another thing I tend to notice that this does have what's considered to be an occluder mesh, which for those that are on potato PCs or even console, you might tend to notice this on some buildings. See how that door is missing? That's all because of this occluder mesh. And if I turn it off, then that doesn't go away at close-up range. So I'll probably end up removing that, which is gonna require to rescript or renode, I guess, as far as everything below that, which is not a big deal. It's just some additional work we'll have to do on that if we want to take that out. Something else I, just noticing as far as what I want to adjust on this building is to add more detail to the skylights. Right now it's just a rough cut opening as far as into the roof, and it does have some detail here on the top, so I need to add some of that detail to our skylight in here just to give it a little bit more flair. We cleaned up how the door openings here actually present themselves for the front of the building. I already said the windows have been applied to the interior as well as the back door. What I found pretty interesting the way this all this is designed is we could actually add a thickness to this wall to create studs in between here, for example. So if we ever did want to do that, we have the ability to do that because we have the way these doors and such are designed, as well as the windows. They can more than accommodate being able to do that. For now, we're just going to leave it like that. So the main focus in here as far as finishing this thing up here is to remove the floor and also add that extra detail to the inside of the skylights for the roof. And then get that all compiled. I will end up having to put this into Blender in order to maintain a lot of the custom parallax and also to tweak on how the snow on the roof and all that is presented. Not able to do that, I guess, as far as in Max here. So once we get everything done in here, I'll be able to bring it into Blender and do what we need to do in there. Re-export that out so that it'll have all those aspects that we want to maintain, like the custom parallax and the snow. So that'll be cool. That's what we're in store here, folks, and appreciate you stopping on by, I guess, as far as see what we got going on here. These are the types of things that I do tend to work on in between playing all the games here in the stream. I wasn't sure, just like Tuesdays, as it stands right now, probably fair mention, more than likely will not to be streaming here on Tuesday for our normal Trucking Tuesday slot. I have adjusted the schedule on the channel, I guess, as far as to reflect that. But whenever I'm unable, I guess, as far as to do these streams, I guess, as far as of normal, like on Tuesdays and such, I like to try and squeeze in, I guess, as far as these creative streams here on the channel, I guess, as far as when possible. This is usually what I'm working on anyway, I guess, as far as in between playing the games here on the channel. So we got a little bit of everything for everybody. Okay. So getting right into this, I got this all broke down into the individual parts. That's our exterior roof. So I'm going to hide some of these elements, as well as our interior roof. And I'm thinking I'll end up applying these skylight for the interior to that interior roof part there. So you can see we got all these skylights here for the exterior, which is all part of our main model to which we took this this original model from. That's where we're at in that regard. We got all the trim for the roof. So what we're going to need to do is actually detach all these skylights, I guess, as far as independently, just like we have with the walls and the doors and such like that, and be able to clone those and see what we need to flip, I guess, as far as to make it more visible, I guess, as far as from the inside. Sounds pretty simple, doesn't it? Well, we're going to try and make this simple. It's become a little bit more involved than I expected. That's the way sometimes the cookie crumbles with these types of things. But in an effort, I guess, as far as to get this to look the way we want it, make it look good, make it look real nice, sometimes this is what we got to do. Alright, so I think the approach I'll take to this is just keep it on a drag select. I think that'll be fine. We want to select all these little portals for the skylights. and attach these as a separate object, making sure that we don't, yep, I just did it right there. This went against what I was trying not to do. Don't want to select anything else other than these skylights. There's a lot of intricate detail that I've come to find, I guess, as far as with the roof, to get the snow effect as far as the frost prior to the snow fill onto the roof. Very intricate. So once we get into Blender, we'll be able to see how all that works. What's all going on there? Right now we're working in here. All right, so we got all those selected. All right. Now we want to attach those as a separate item, and I'll just label these as skylight, just for clarity in our items list. Okay. And then I also want to reselect that and select that pivot and center on those. Nice. Alright, so now we got those separated out. Now all we can do is clone that and do a copy. And we'll make these skylights too. Keep them differentiated in our items list here. Alright, so this one here, I'm going to hide the other one for now. You don't want to touch those. Keep those just the way they are. Now we got just the skylights too. Now we can take a closer look at when we need to flip on these. We could probably get away with just flipping them all entirely so that they face inward, and we can be able to see that from the interior of the building. As it stands right now, as I've already shown, it's just a big hole in our ceiling here, so we don't really have much detail for there actually being a skylight fixture up on the roof. So just to add that little extra detail, that's why we're taking this step. Okay. So what we'll do at this point, reselect all these polys. They'll already be selected, and all we need to do, now that we got this in a separate object from what we cloned, we can just flip these, like so. Now these should all be facing inward, like so. Voila. So we'll be able to see this from the inside now, once we export this out. Now I'll be taking the approach of collapsing it all down into one object. We can export that out and just kind of go from there. It's gonna be fun stuff. Alright, so the other thing I just realized I wanted to do, got some of my working folders open here. I also want to open up where our game install is at, which is through Steam. I do need to get some directories, I guess, as far as from that. I can also take it from right here, what's in Giant Center. I can grab it from here as well. So either way, I just wanted to have that on the ready, I guess, as far as just in case I want to go either route. Okay, cool. Because we are going to need to change where that texture we're pulling from. Right now, what I got going on here with our model in 3ds Max is we're reading that texture through here, which is our working folder, which we don't want that to do. We want to read it from the game. The only reason why I pulled this out is to make a raw PNG of that, so I can actually bring it into the modeling program. Otherwise, the modeling program won't read, I guess, as far as that optimized, that new DDS format that's prevalent, I guess, as far as in Farming Simulator 22. So that's about the only reason why I have it segregated, I guess, as far as from the reading it from the actual game files. But we do have to reestablish, I guess, as far as reading from the game files and not outside of the game. Okay. So we got those all flipped. That's good. The other thing I want to do in here is to take the floor out. We don't need the floor. Now, I could just leave the floor in here. I don't have to actually delete it from my scene. I can just disclude it from actually collapsing that as the final model. So that's probably the approach I'll take to it. I think the skylights will do the same. Although I'm thinking back, it was the way I did the windows. I did collapse those into... No, I did not. Okay, cool. So I did leave them separate. So this is the clone to bring it into the inside. So I might do the same thing with the skylights as well. I can always collapse those down. Yeah, I think I might just do that. If something doesn't go right, as far as the way it collapses or whatever, it tends to look funky and not so good looking, we might actually, take a different approach to it. Hence the reason I'll probably just keep them as separate objects. But the floor, I can probably just disclude from collapsing that down into one object to make our final model, and I think that'll work out just good. Okay. Cool. So that kind of makes it a little bit simpler on my part. So we got pretty much everything that we need to do in here. So what I'll do is I'll bring back some of these items here. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and save this scene with all that being done. I think one other thing I want to do before I forget, I already reset the pivot on this clone piece of the skylights, but I also, and then we flipped them as well, but I also want to adjust the X-form on there. Let's do reset X-form and double check that. That looks good, and go ahead and collapse that down. Cool. So what we're looking for is to see that that orange box that we saw around there wasn't all out of whack. So if we saw it anywhere, any other way than what we just seen, then we would have to fix our layout of our skylights here to correct that. Otherwise, if we were to try to collapse it down, it'll throw the whole model out of whack. Just to put it simply. Okay. That is all done. Let's go ahead and save the scene. All those changes made. Now we can start the process of, so that'll be our start point. So as we collapse this thing down, if we see anything go funky on us, we can always revert back to that scene that we just saved and start over. So now we can start the process of actually collapsing it down into one singular object, be able to export that out into an i3D. So let's do that. Let's go into our items list. We're going to start with this one, and I'll go ahead and just apply skylights. I'm going to do just pieces at a time. We're going to check our model as we put that down, as opposed to just crunching it all down in one fell swoop. You can have some really crazy stuff happening as far as if you try to crunch too much down. Picture, if you will, if you try to put like a piece of appliance into a crusher, how things get really warped out of shape, I guess, as far as when you do that. It's kind of the same thing, I guess, as far as when you're collapsing models down. So it's better to do it in pieces to keep it nice and clean, as opposed to doing it all at once, and it tends to kind of warp it and do some strange things with it. That's pretty much the only thing that we're doing here, as far as to just do it piece by piece, crunch it down, take a look at it. If it looks okay, continue to keep crushing it down until we get to one final object. Alright, so we got these selected. Go ahead to our hammer. Collapse. Selected. Nothing terrible went wrong there, so that's good. I'm going to go ahead, convert this back to an editable poly. Let's check it out. So what I'm looking for is to make sure that there's no, so other than this dark shading that we see here, that's just something with 3ds Max. Otherwise, what we're looking to see is that none of these polys anywhere around the model tend to get crinkled, if you will, for lack of a better way to put it. So if we see like massive crinkles into this as we crunch this down, we definitely want to take a different approach to how we're collapsing it down. So far, everything is looking good. Alright, so we got that much crushed down. And just to double check the pivot. So, yep, that's not adjusting any further, so that's good. So we'll continue to crush it down. Take this, we'll do the two windows, so the inside and outside. And just a little bit at a time. So we'll go collapse. Collapse selected. Still looking good. Go ahead and convert that back to an editable poly. Still looking good. Not seeing any major wrinkles or crush marks, I guess, as far as across the building. And again, we're not really worried about these dark spots, I guess, as far as on here. That's just the way this viewport, as far as in 3ds Max. Now, if we were to render this, we won't see those. That's another way we can check it. So we can see there's no dark spots on there. So as long as we see it in this fashion, I guess, as far as we crush it down, then we're definitely in good shape. So far, so good. Alright, so we're going to continue to crush this down. Go into our items list. And I think what I'll go with next is the exterior, walls and roof. There we go. This is going to be another big chunk. Go to our hammer, collapse that down. Now we are seeing some shifts in here, but it's nothing all that's catastrophic. Okay, convert that back to an editable poly. I take the approach to this just to make absolutely sure that we're not only doing it a little bit at a time, but also converting it back to an editable poly. If we can make any changes at this point, we'll do that by converting it back to an editable poly. So as we look at this, still looking good. Let's render it real quick. Take a look at our work. We're looking pretty good. No major crinkles in it. Yeah, so you can see some of these dark spots here. As long as we're not seeing that in the render, then we're definitely good to go. Wait. So far, so good. Let's continue to collapse her down. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty. Let's do... So we're going to leave the floor out. Do not want to include the floor. And also the door. The door is a separate shape, which has a different texture applied to it. So that's a totally different item. We don't need that. So between that, and then I also have one item hidden, which we'll have to bring back prior to exporting this model out. So I guess next we'll do the interior stuff. Okay, collapse that down. That's the next biggest chunk. Looking good. We'll convert that back to an editable poly. Looking marvelous. Okay, let's render that real quick. Looking beautiful. Beautiful. It's going to look so much better, I think, in game too. That's what I'm getting kind of anxious. So I've kind of already gone through a lot of these motions. I kind of just realized after the last I tested in game was I wanted to add that detail of the skylights on the roof. And this just kind of goes to show you the process that we go through to make sure everything is okie dokie. Bringing these models into the game. So far, so good. Nice. So we got a couple more items here to collapse down. So the glass shape, anything that's in a form of shape, that's a separate item. And just to kind of go back to our model in here. So our interior, we have separate glass, so we don't need that either, or the door. I still have the original garage door in here, which I probably will not include. So that's going back to the original model that had no interior. It had these doors on it. I was debating whether or not I wanted to make these to be roll-ups on there. That would add a little bit more work, I guess, as far as to make a rail for that to roll up on. Not only to create the keyframes, because as far as to make it roll up, you know, like a roll-up door. I don't know if I want to put that much detail into that, quite honestly, especially for production. My initial scope, I guess, as far as for this building, was just to have a building that was open, and you could go into it, I guess, as far as because we don't see a whole lot of productions that are in Farming Simulator 22 that have a lot of detail like this on production. So this is my approach, I guess, as far as to making a little bit more of a detailed production. Okay, so we do not need the glass shape, the door shape, or the floor. The door jamb we still need. Let's go ahead and collapse that down. And that should be the last piece that we need to collapse down. Collapse, selected. Check this pivot here again real quick. So that's good. and also convert this back to an editable poly. Voila. And then take one final look. So we got everything collapsed down that we needed to. Zoom this in a little bit. Looking marvelous. Marvelous. Go around all the way around it and just check it out. Make sure we don't see any major crinkles in this deal. And we're not. Pretty good. All right, so we have it all collapsed down to what we need it to be. So we're gonna bring this out as an export. Everything else, to include this one that I have hidden, I'm gonna bring that out. Get rid of all that. Okay. We're gonna select all, but this shape. Delete all that out, and this is what we need to export out. That right there. Sweet. So we'll go ahead and export that out. And probably where I've been putting this is just directly into our map folder, within our productions folder in our map. We need to do it that way. I know it's a little bit, deep in it, I guess, as far as where we're putting it, but that's where we want to have it. That's kind of why I put it where it needs to go, even though it is way down here. Alright, so we got that. We want to do this as an i3D. Like that, and then we'll just make this, we'll name this as building, just so we know what we're looking for. We definitely don't want to open up our paper production. We already have it open there in our editor. We'll name this building. Spit that out. It will have rigid body on it, and we want to maintain that rigid body. Cool. We'll go ahead and bring this back real quick. So, alright. We'll probably end up having to reset this. And then I'll need to make some changes onto this building that we just did. Namely, where this texture is pointing to. Let's go ahead and do that. And chunk all this out there. We don't want it reading from that directory, which is our working folder right here. We don't want it reading from this. We want it to read it from the game. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab it right from here. This is the texture that we actually want it to point to. Right there. We're gonna change that in our texture for our i3D. And we need to dollar data this out. Like so. We want to keep that relative, I guess, as far as to where our game install is. What we just did there, just to put it simply. So that's good. We'll go ahead and save that. Okay. Now we'll be able to take and open our model up separately and apply the other textures to it, such as the normal and the specular. Change the clip distance and all that stuff before we bring it into our overall paper production. And then we can take a look at our model and see how we look. Alright, so that up. Okay, I was looking at some other things earlier, so I guess we got to repoint where we just put that. Production, space production, right here. Sweet. So we shouldn't have any errors other than the only warning that I get there, because I am using an older Giant Sight 3D exporter. It's about the only thing we get. As long as we save it in Giant's Editor 9, then the model is usually just fine. Alright, so we can see how our exported model looks here in the editor. Add a little light on the subject just to kind of get some more clarity. We can see how our model looks here in the editor. Don't worry about all this fabricated lighting. It'll definitely look better once we get it into our map. Just to kind of take a look at how our model looks. Looks pretty good. Yeah, so other than the artificial shading that we get from adding our light into here, it's just adding a little bit more clarity how the texture looks onto that. So we don't see any major dents or wingy dings, I guess, as far as in our building. Now, keeping in mind it doesn't have all the other aspects in there. Once we get it into our paper production here, we'll have all these, as far as the glass, the door, and all that stuff. This stage here, it's kind of minimized, so we can actually take a look at how our skylight turned out, like so. Now, I might take the approach of actually removing, now that I look at this, I might remove this from the interior because I want some light to come in. I want it to actually have it function, I guess, as far as a skylight. So I might remove these, now that I look at this. So before we go any further, I guess as far as with this, I'm going to go ahead and go back to our model and adjust taking that out here. So really all we needed to have out of all that was just this frame. So I'll remove these out of here from our interior skylight, and that'll allow light to come in there, and it'll be a true skylight. I think that's what I'm going to do before I go any further with this. Alright. So we won't even bother saving that. No. We're going to make some more adjustments here in our Max. I will have to reopen this model so we can get all of our individual pieces back. I don't want to edit it from this point. So let's do select all. I'm going to take all this out and go ahead and reopen that scene. I do not want to save that. Let's reopen it. And we're starting right over from step one. But before we do all the collapsing, oh goodness, I hate when I do that. Get back in. Oh, I hate when it does this. You know what? I'm going to fix that problem. Let's just go ahead and do an open. Don't save that. I'm going to open it again. Alright, there we go. Somehow, when you don't select something in the viewport, a lot of times it puts you somewhere super crazy. So that's another reason why I like to save it prior to getting too crazy with editing and stuff. That way I can always bring back my startup scene. Okay. We are good there. So what we want to do is hide some of these items, and we want to highlight the skylight 2. Let's take out this one, and the skylight 2 is what we want to adjust here. So what we want to do is take out the polys, these 4 polys here that make this pyramid type of shape, I guess, as far as for the skylight. So for the interior, at least anyway, it's going to allow light to come in there naturally. I'm going to take all of these out and maintain just the frame. That'll clean up, I guess, as far as our opening on the inside of our building for our skylight. Yeah, so the fact that all the heavy lifting, I guess, as far as for the way this model was designed by Giants themselves or whatever, it's we're just tweaking on it a little bit to make it a little bit more just that much cooler. Okay, let's go ahead and delete those out. Now, only thing we'll be left with is just the frame for our interior. Wait, now we'll go ahead. For that piece, we need to re-effect the pivot. Okay, that should be good. And then also the X-form. Make sure it's all nice and true. Nice and square and true. That's what we like to see. Oh, guess I did it twice. Don't realize it. Alright, no problem. We'll go ahead and collapse both of those. So that's good to go. Now I'll go ahead and bring back what we hid. And resave the scene. That's our start point. And now we can commence to recollapsing it down. So what I'm going to do before I go too far, I'm going to take out this one that we previously saved. That one looked pretty good, but that was, now we made some adjustments here, we'll have to have a new one. We don't really need that one anymore. Alright, so let's start the collapse procedure here again. So we go pretty much the same process as I just showed. Collapse that down. Convert that to an editable poly. Good deal. And this is kind of a rinse and repeat process. So far, so good. I'm gonna render this real quick just to kind of keep an eye on it. Yep, we're looking good. Doesn't hurt to check it. Let's do exterior walls. It doesn't really matter what order. Just what it basically comes down to as you select these items, collapse them down, check the condition of the model to make sure that it's not broken. So far, we're staying not broken, so that's good. Oh, shoot, what did I do there? I got 2 transforms. That's... Did it not collapse? Alright, hold on, what do I got? Okay, I just forgot to collapse it. Got a little bit ahead of myself, I suppose. Collapse. There we go. Good. Good. And let's reconvert this back to an editable poly. Cool beans. Render that real quick. That was a pretty big chunk there. Usually, a lot of times on the bigger chunks here, when I collapse those down there, definitely want to check that. Definitely want to check that. So the only thing we'll have left is the door jamb after this. We got one more collapse after this. Okay. Nice. Put that to the editable poly. Render it real quick. Looking good. So again, what I'm looking for, because as far as when I render it this way, I'm looking to see if there's any major tears or crinkling and such. I guess as far as in our faces or polys here, either in the roof, on the walls, or anything like that. We're not seeing any of that, so that's good. Very good, very nice. So we got one more collapse to do. The rest of that we will not need to collapse. Okay. Pivot, center that, and reconvert that back to an editable poly. Sweet beans. Alright, so that's all we need to collapse. Everything else we do not need, so I need to unhide this deal and get everything out of here that we don't want to keep for our final model. So narrow it down to that, take everything else out, and now we can export this out again. So we'll go ahead, export as a building. And again, we can name that whatever we want. We just want some clarity. When we go into our folder here, we want to know what do we need to load up into our guidance editor is all. We can name it whatever we like. Building seems to sound pretty appropriate. That's what we're working on. Okay, let's go ahead and back this up. Okay, let's go to our folder where we saved that. Make the appropriate changes to our texture. So we want it to read that texture. Go ahead and dollar data that out. Take that out. We'll dollar data that. Make it relative, I guess, as far as to our game install. That's all we need to do there. Save that. And open that up. Just a lot of rinse and repeat, like I just mentioned. Open that bad boy up. Shouldn't have any warnings other than for the old shape file. Per usual. Nice. Once again, we can check and see how we look now. And we should have an opening on the inside here for that skylight. But have the frame. That cleans that up really nice now. That's going to allow some natural light from in the game to come through our physical skylight. It still cleans up that hole, I guess, as far as to have a frame on it at this point. That looks a lot better. It'll look even better once we get it into the game. Sweet. Alright, let's go ahead and make some changes in here. So we need to get this to 0. So with this item in here by itself, we can easily just do a freeze translate. Get that over to 0. I'm going to rename our shape here. It does have rigid body, which we do want to maintain, so it has collision. So that's good. I do want to change the clip distance on this to a 200. Don't need it that high. Okay, so that should adjust it in the minimum clip. Nice. I also need to add a tangent so we can add our normal. Okay, so we're already pointed for the diffuse where we need it to be. Now we need to point to the specular, the gloss map, and also the normal. That's all in the game file. So we're going to point these all to the game files. That should be in Mats, US, Textures, Company. I kind of know this by heart, only because I've done it many times. Okay, so we got our specular. Now we need our normal. Already be in that directory. Cool. This will add all the extra detail, I guess, as far as the bump map. So it won't have the custom parallax to it yet until we get it. So once we apply all this, get it applied into that, we'll be able to export this model into an OBJ, bring it into Blender, and do what we need to in there. We'll be getting into that after we do these steps. Alright, so that's all we need to do here. Go ahead and save this item. And we'll go right over top what we previously saved for that building. Math. Paper production, and we'll save it over that guy. Yes, please. Now we can bring this model that we just saved into our main production here. And we'll have to bring in all these individual details, I guess, as far as into it as well. So let's go ahead and import this guy. That's good. We got no errors. That's good. It's already got it right where it needs to go. Just need to move it in the proper position here in our scene graph. Okay, and then just bring in all these elements to our new model. Cut these out. Put them in here. Right in the same order. And last one. So that's our snow cap. This is first to give our snow fill. That was so I have tested that, and that seems to work really good still on our new model. So we can get rid of this one. Oh, here's our new model. So we did keep out the floor. That was by choice, and it'll make sense once we get into the game as far as why that is. So here we go. We got our extra added detail to our skylight, and also remove the floor. That's the two main things that we did to our model at this point. So that's everything included as far as the windows, the door, extra detail to our skylight, to maintain the opening in the skylight to allow light to come in. So we're looking good. Sweet, so we can go ahead and save this. The paper production. Nice. And then what we can do is reopen up that building now that we've checked everything in here to make sure everything is good to go as far as with all the other elements. I'm going to take this building that we saved up here. We'll spit this out as an OBJ so we can bring this into Blender so we can apply the building shader aspects to it. That's the only other thing we need to do. Sounds pretty simple when you say it, but okay. So all we need to do is export this guy out, and we're going to put this right to our desktop. And we'll save this as building. As an OBJ. So we can bring that into Blender. Okay, so that's all saved up. Cool beans. And we can go ahead and close this one out for now. We've got that saved. Wait a minute. Did I not save that? I thought I did. Alright, hold on a second. We'll go ahead and resave it again just to make sure. I might have moved it. That's par for the course. Alright, let's do placeables, productions. Just let's make absolutely sure we do have it saved as our paper production. There we go. Sweet. Now we can go ahead and close that. Cool. And I think we're done with our max for now. Let's go ahead and select all this. We'll at least just get it cleared out. Oh. Take all that out of here. Well, I'll leave it open for the time being. Now what we need to do is on our desktop, open up another window here. We got our OBJ, I guess, as far as that we need to bring into Blender. Okay, let's go open up our Blender. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. That's my paint program. Both those icons, when I first look at them, they're both orange. So it tends to, I get confused with those sometimes. Alright, so we're going to open up our Blender. I do have a Blender file previously saved for this, but we'll have to discard that. I'll probably just go ahead and do this as a Blender new, or a building new. I'll probably do that. Okay, not a big deal. Okay, let's go ahead and bring in our model. See if I can remember how to do this. There's a lot of steps in the Blender here that I always forget to do. So it's going to be probably pretty evident that I will forget something. Alright, so here's our model. Has an OBJ, no textures yet. We're going to fix that here in just a moment. Okay. One of the first things I need to do while we're in object mode, let's pull this guy out. Okay, we need to correct this rotation. I gotta remember which one it is now. I think it's Control X. Yeah, we need to adjust the scale, or the rotation, my bad. Set that to 0. So everything is now to 0, that's good. Nice, alright, that's the first step. So that's just the difference between when you have it into an i3D, when you put it into OBJ, that format will automatically put that 90-degree rotation into it. You don't really have it there because it's, you know, it's good like that, but you want to make sure that's set to 0. Otherwise, you have to remember to do that, I guess, as far as once you bring it into Giant's Editor and do the freeze translate on the rotate. Sometimes I always forget to do that, so I just like to do it in this step. Now we don't have to worry about it. Alright, so the next thing we need to do to this model is apply our material. We'll do this in the edit mode. There we go. So we'll go to material. We're going to do a new material. And we want to name this the same thing that we had it previously, which was Company Warehouse Mat. Again, I kind of know, I got all this stuff stuck in my head because I've been doing this, it's a lot of rinse and repeat. So it's just still kind of all stuck in my head for now. Company Warehouse. Mat. Alright, cool. And we want to use that and assign it. Now we can do, everything else is done. We're good there. We can actually bring out another window and switch this over to a UV edit. Like so. And there's our UV of our building without the texture. So this is where we'll be able to apply the texture. Now that we got our material, go ahead and do an open. And we want to point this to here. And we want to use, actually I could probably point this right to the in-game file. Let's do that. That's even better. So at least on the diffuse. Okay, where's my games on Steam? You gonna show me that? Probably not. I think that's usually another reason why I usually will just use the one that's in. Yeah, you know what? Let's just. Yeah, I'm just gonna use it from here. Yeah, we'll just use it from here. Let's use this guy. There we go. There's our texture. And there are some changes that we'll have to make on here so that we can allow the frost. So we'll have to make a second UV and make some adjustments to where our UVs are located in that process. So, okay. This ought to be fun. Okay, we got our texture in there. Oh, I know what I need to do. Let's get our texture applied. So there's our texture applied to our model. Cool. That's what I was looking for. And I need to sync this up here. That's the other thing I need to do. Keep these in sync, so as I select stuff in here, it'll sync it to our viewport. Okay. So right now it just has one UV. We need to add a second UV to this, and we do that going into here. Adding a UV. Let me rename this real quick. Don't really need to, but I've just gotten into the habit of renaming this so I know which map is what. So like so. So this is our UV2. So this will be our primary UV, I guess, as far as for with no snow and stuff like that. And the UV2, we want to modify, I guess, as far as what parts are going to have snow on it and which won't. And so we'll have to do a little bit of modification to our UV layout here, just as far as under this UV2. Okay, let's slide this over this way a little bit. So I kind of know all this up here is our roof. So I can select. Alright, why is it not letting me select? Hold on. Being stubborn. There we go. I need my cursor so I can select these items. There we go. I know where all the roof is at. It's right there. And I want to be able to shift this over to the right side of the primary location. So where this texture here is located is 0. So that's ground. That's ground 0, I guess, as far as for where the primary texture is. So we want to modify in our UV2 as far as where that texture will actually apply to our snow. So everything to the left or right of 0, which I tend to usually put it to the right, will tell the game or whatever, okay, when it's snowing, I need to put snow on these pieces here, based on this UV location. That's basically what's happening in a nutshell. So we're going to shift this over to the right, like so. Try not to move. Could probably take the approach to actually tile it if I wanted to make sure that I'm staying within. But I can also check it this way just to make sure. Yep. That should be good. Just like that. Now, there's some trim. Just gotta remember where exactly it was located. This was a little bit of a tedious step here for us to get only the top part of the trim on the roof there to be. So we don't want the snow to show on the side of the trim, just on the very top. But all this trim is all in one location, so I only want to select just the top side of this trim. Okay. Okay, we need to go by faces. That's what I want. There we go. So we can see where that's located right here in our UV. We're making sure that all we're selecting is just that top side of the trim. The only place we want to have snow or frost. So this is the little bit more tedious step. Only get that top side, but they're not too hard, I guess, as far as to be able to select. So we'll just tough it out. I have tried, I guess, as far as just select them within the UV over here. But I always end up usually selecting the side as well. I don't want the side. Don't want the side of it. So we're just going to take this approach. So this is about the extent of my interaction, I guess, as far as with using Blender. In order to maintain the building shader aspects as far as the custom parallax and also applying snow. The frosty effects, I guess, as far as it will show up on buildings or whatever when it's cold out, for example. This is how we apply it. As far as to add a second UV map of the texture to the model. It's actually pretty cool when you think about it. It's just a little bit of extra work you got to do, I guess, as far as to have that applied. Otherwise, if you don't get all those extra features applied to the model when it's winter time. Spinning right through it. We'll need to get this this piece of trim here as well. I'm just doing one at a time here. I have to bite off more than I can chew. You can get carried away here if you're not careful. I'm just trying to be careful. It's better to just take your time with it and make sure that you're getting all that you need and not more than that. Not more than that. In this case, more is not better. More is not better in this case. As I select these, I can see over here, I guess, as far as just ensuring that I am selecting in the right area. Now, I did come to a problem after doing this previously, that it wasn't selecting all the trim that I was expecting to have selected. So we'll see how this turns out, if it does this time. So we got it all selected over here. And you can see how much lower it is. I'm not 100% sure why Giants took the approach, I guess, as far as to spread all the different UVs for the different parts of the building in different areas instead of... I'm guessing it was just to kind of keep it clean, to understand, I guess, as far as where everything was. If you were to put everything on top of each other, it would get a little confusing. So I think that's the only thing is, but the fact that it's so spread out for all these different UVs, it's a little bit wild, but in this case here, it makes this a little bit easier to discern and be able to get at what we need to do as far as to adjust and reapply this, like we're doing it. Okay, so we need to move this. Let's move over to this window. Now we don't need to rescale or anything, we just need to move it up to this location over here. And this part here, oh, I screwed that up. Okay, I'll have to reselect that. I just need to move it right into this location right here, right in this strip. Well, we need to put it to the right of our main ground zero. We want this to have snow on it for this UV2. Okay. Move this over here. And put that to the right, just like we did with our roof pieces. Now, keeping in mind too, this part here includes not only the outside roof, but the interior roof. The thing that's kind of really cool, I guess, as far as the way the Giants engine will decipher this, if it's facing in the direction, in this case upward, as far as the polys are facing upwards, that's what we'll collect snow. So even though we do have this in an area that would be distinguished as snow, it won't actually put snow on it, and we'll find that out, I guess, as far as once we test that in the game. So to put it shortly, the Giants engine, the way it detects if the poly is in the direct path of the snow, the way it falls, you know, as far as gravity and all that stuff is concerned, it'll only put it on the surfaces that are facing opposite the direction of the snow. So if it's going in the same direction as the snow is falling from the sky, it doesn't actually put the snow onto it. So it's kind of cool how that actually works. Okay, so we got that over there. We can actually take a look at it in our model. Let's deselect all that. That looks good. So far, so good. So we do need to get that piece of trim. Yep, it's for peak of our roof. We need to get all that too. We'll do that next. And again, that's in another one of these areas. I think it's way down here, if I remember right. So we need to bring that up to... let me just take a look and see where this is at currently. Why is it not letting me select? That should be on faces. Okay, I just need to see where this is. So it's down here. Yep, it is down here. And just like the other trim here, it's in the same location where I put that the previous one there. So we should be able to move that in the same location. Yep, so we should be good there. Let's go ahead and get these selected. Where we want snow to be on this part. And again, we just don't want the entire thing. Because I don't think it was the case on this one here. Let's see here. So that should be, let me select that all down here just to see where we're at. Okay, did not want to do that. Control Z. Let's use our selection tool. Okay, in all actuality, I think we do want all that. Yep. We do want all that, now that I think of it. We want that whole thing to be covered in snow. Yep, that'll work. So we need to bring that up to where we brought another piece of trim up here. I might move this just slightly, I guess, as far as to make room for that. I remember how I did that last time. Okay, so these here should be the skylights, I do remember. Let's go ahead and bring this up first. Let's do this up to here. Get that, so that was another reason why I think they kind of kept all these individual parts separate. That way they weren't on top of each other. I just have to clean this up nice, I guess, as far as so it's so just as nice as the way it was originally in UV map. That's about all. Let's see. I'm actually trying to remember where I put these when I did this previously. Let's see, let's do... I had it all nice and neat in here. The fact that I gotta redo it, kind of a bummer in a way, but... kind of a bummer, but we'll make it work. I think I might have moved this. All that. The one thing I'm removing temptation to is to actually resize it, to rescale it, because we don't want to do that. It'll change how the texture is actually applied to that part of the model. We don't want to do that. Don't want to do that. Should be good. So this here, I believe, is part of the skylight. I'm going to move this out of the way. Get that selected. Yep, so that's all part of the skylight. We do want to have some snow on that. But for now, I'm going to move this. Here. That way I can make room for that piece of trim, which is right here. Kind of like delicate surgery, I guess, as far as when it comes to this. A little bit of delicate surgery. Yeah, I'm thinking this is why Giants didn't put this all in the same location here, because that's a really narrow strip. Now we could edit this texture, but then that would be That would require, I guess, as far as to bring the texture into the map. I'm trying to, minimize that as much as possible. If we can use what's already available in the Giants textures, that's what I try to use without trying to modify it if all necessary. Okay. I think we got a little bit of room in here, just as far as to be able to squeak that in there. Let's see. I did not have to scale it last time, so I'm just trying to... I think what I did is I just put those really close in there, just pack these in here like sardines. Okay. We're going to make this work. I will need to do something with this too once I get these situated, because this we want to have snow on it too. That's the frame around the skylight on the outside. Okay. Deselect that. Yeah, I'm definitely starting to understand as far as why Giants took the approach that they did with this. They could have made this a little bit wider on the texture, but I'm assuming they probably needed all that space to be able to handle the exterior walls and such. So in order to get the proper scale, I guess, as far as on those parts of the texture, that's probably why they made these a little bit narrower. I think that's what you got to do to optimize it. To be able to maximize the space that you have within your texture, but to get the maximum benefit, I guess, as far as the scaling of that pattern texture gets as far as onto such things like our roof and our walls. I can totally understand it as far as why they took the approach to spread it up as far out as they did. Totally makes sense. Totally makes sense. Okay. Cannot 100% remember how I did that. I might have put... That might be what I did, now that I think of it. I think I tiled this. Let me do that. I got a better idea. Instead of putting these all tight together like that, let's go into properties. And we want to tile like so. Now this can get a little bit funky because if we zoom out, it tends to clip it out. But if we zoom in far enough, we can actually see where we can put these. So I think what I'll do, move some of this into a different location, but still within the same texture. Part of the texture anyway. So I think what we'll do is we'll move this down here. Okay, let's zoom in on that. Like I said, we're gonna make this work. Okay, let's deselect that. Selection tool. Oh, yep, see, I did definitely get that too close. That was what I was afraid of. I have to zoom in a little bit more. I might have made a little bit of a boo-boo, but we're going to fix it. And make this smaller. Go. There we go. Put those a little too close together, just so this is in order to give these some breathing room and some padding. We're just going to kind of move this into a different location. On our UV. Not a big deal. I guess I was just trying a little bit different approach than what I've previously taken, I guess, as far as to see how close I can get these together. A little too close for comfort here, though, actually. There we go. Oh, this is that strip up here on RP. I'm just getting that all reselected. I couldn't go through the viewport here if I wanted to, but I know where it's at here in the UV, so I'm just going that approach. Making sure we get it all highlighted. Okay, let's go a little bigger than that. Well, select it. There we go. And we can confirm in our viewport that we do have it all selected, which it looks like we do. Nice. So we'll be able to move this down. Move that. Move this down this way. Out a little bit. And we need to get it basically down here. But what I want to do is make sure that I'm still to the right of our 0. I'm just trying to bring it straight down, and we're going to put it in this location down here. So the same area of the texture as our ground 0, just further down so it's not in the way. So right about in here. Okay. And we're leaving enough room, I guess, as far as between what's here, so that's good. Enough padding into that. Cool, so we got those nice and separated, but we got them in the same area of the texture that we want depicted on that part. But it's still going to be to the right of, so let's take out the repeat. Back to the properties here, and we'll take off the repeat. Tends to make the UV window kind of stutter a little bit because we repeat it. There we go. So we got it to the right of our ground 0, which is going to allow to have snow on that part for UV2. That should be good. Now I need to move this one here, slide that over. This is for the frame of our skylight. Okay. So let's select that. We do want to have some snow on that. Slide that over. Like so. Nice. Okay, so that should be pretty much all we need to do. We'll leave everything else where it is. Don't need to adjust any of that. So the main pieces that we focused on was just everything related to the roof. So there, our trim, and then our peak. All that should have snow applied based on this UV2. Okay, so that is all done. Alright, so I do want to rename this. Okay, before we save it. Okay, and we'll also do that on here. So we do got our material. That's good. Just for clarity and the name of our shape. And then so we already got our material name, which is good. It's already been applied. We can see that's actually onto our model. That's all confirmed. We're all Gucci. So we can go ahead and save this as a new Blender file. So currently I got it here. I'm just going to name this as Building New. I'll keep that pre-existing one. Let's do this as Building New. There we go. That'll be a totally separate Blender file. So that'll be confirmed in here. Cool. Now what we should be able to do is just export this model out as an i3D. It's i3D. And I want to put this right to the desktop. So we'll rename this as Building New i3D. That'll work. Work that out. Cool. So now we should have that on our desktop. Right there. Now this does not produce a shapes file initially using the exporter through Blender. So when we open up this file in our Giants editor, when we save it after making the adjustments to texture and all that stuff, we need to save it as a binary, so it will produce that shapes file for it. That's about the only thing. Alright, so that's normal, I guess, as far as for what we got here. Nice. Okay, so let's rename our shape. so. We do want to have rigid body into this, so I'm going to add a rigid body. Change our clip. Few preliminary things we need to do. So it doesn't initially apply a texture to it. So we need to point that, which is fine. No big deal. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and point this right to the texture that's in the game. Then we'll go into our games on Steam. Beta. I've done this so many times, it's like I can do this in my sleep anymore. We'll go replaceables. Nope, my bad. Maps. US. Textures. And then that's company. Warehouse. Diffuse. Which is right there. So there's our diffuse. We got our gloss map. We should have tangent already to this. Yes, we do. We'll be able to put our normal to it. So all the textures are right in here. All based on the game. So this is what is all considered dollar data. We're not bringing any texture weight to the model because as far as to our map, it's all reading from the game. Stuff that's already available to us. Alright, so our specular. Beautiful. And then also our normal. Okay, and that's to be the last texture in this directory before we apply the shader. Okay, now we just need the shader. Awesome, and we want to reapply that custom parallax that it originally had. So that's turning out good. Nice. So that building shader with the custom parallax will give it that extra detail on top of the normal and the specular to give it that really robust look, but also to apply snow to it. So it does have a snow scale to that. So this is what we'll be able to test out to see if all that snow is being applied to the roof properly and nowhere else. So if we see the snow anywhere but on the roof pieces that we applied that UV2 map for the model onto, then we'll need to fix that. That's what we need to check here. So we'll go ahead and save this as a binary. Save this right to the desktop as a binary file because we want to be able to produce that shapes file. And right over that one that we saved from Blender. There we go. That's all we need to do. So that part is all done. Now it asked me to save it there because you export it or save it as a binary. It wants you to save it again. You can go ahead and do that. It's not really a big deal. Kind of just a little bit extra step. But we got our shapes file that goes along with this i3D now. So that's what I wanted. That's what we wanted. Let's go ahead and open up our paper production again. So instead of using this guy, we're going to end up using that building new that we just saved it in our desktop. Give this a second to load up. Alright, so we're just going to basically bring in, oh, we got to repoint to that. And open up our paper reduction. So basically just like we did earlier, we just need to replace our main building here as far as our visuals with this new one that we just created with that has all the building shader to it. Okay, so let's go ahead and import it. That should be right on our desktop. Right there. Shouldn't have any warnings, which you don't. So right in the position it needs to be. That's Gucci. We like it. Go ahead and put that in our visual transform. And then we need to bring all these other aspects into our new model. Right in the same order. Like I said, there is a lot of rinse and repeat when it comes to these types of processes, but the end result is pretty much the same. Alright. Cool beans. We got everything in there so we can take this one out. So now we've got our adjusted model that has all the new aspects to our skylight, to include the building shader to allow the snow to show up on the roof when it's winter. We'll be able to test all this stuff in the game here momentarily. Let's see, here we go. Now we got a new building with all of our newly added aspects, I guess, as far as to our skylight. We removed the floor. We found it necessary to not need that. So that is all good to go. We'll go ahead and save up our production again. And we'll go back to our map. Okay, paper production, and we want to resave that. Put this one on there. Now we're all up to date, I guess, as far as that. Now we'll be able to bring that into our mod folder, into our map mod folder, and be able to check this out in the game. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and close some things out. I already saved this as our Blender file. Actually, I might go ahead and resave this one. So we're in object mode. Yeah, let me go ahead and resave this really quick. I'm going to delete this guy. Just resave that as building new. With it like that. That'll work. I want to have a reasonable starting. Yep, I want to say that it's building new. Yes. Cool beans. And I'll just confirm that it did do that. Absolutely. Alright, cool. We'll go ahead and close this guy out for now. And we should be good to go in this one here too. So let's just close some items out. Don't need to save that. We already did save this. We'll leave that open. Okay, so we need to move our stuff over to our mod folder so we can test this out in the game. Let's do that right meow. Let me go ahead and switch this over. Alright, here we are over, so we got our working folder where we did save our newly created paper production, which is right here. So we got our old building, which we don't need that anymore, actually. We made all the changes based on this one into Blender, because as far as they had to build the building shaders items. Okay, so we just need this over to our mods folder. Into our map. So same location on our mods folder in our mods game directory. Paper production, and overwrite these two. Now we'll be able to go in and actually see how we look. What in the world did I open over here? Okay. Oh, just checking over. I'm gonna go ahead and close this real quick. Why is it doing that? I'm gonna close that out. Let me reopen up. So I'm just doing some things over on the other screen here real quick. Got some funky business going on in the editor. Must have pushed something I didn't realize. We'll get that fixed. Before we're going in the game. Alright, cool. That looks all so good. I don't know what the heck I pushed there, but it was showing me some stats in there. I must have pushed a button and didn't realize. No problem. Alright, so we're ready to go and check this out in the game. Get the game loaded up. Load up our trusty dusty Farming Simulator 22 and see how our paper production looks like. Now this is what we've done here, I guess, as far as with everything we just done just now. This is all dynamically loaded. This item can be placed manually, I guess, as far as anywhere you want on the map, but it does initially load in dynamically into the industrial part. So we want to have that versatility of both being able to dynamically place it and manually place it. We're going to open up a new save game under New Farmer on our Dairyland map. So as we load this in, we'll go ahead and bring up the dev console. Make sure we got no errors. There is one warning that still exists, I guess, as far as that's related to the animal food. And I've already pointed that out before. If I do happen to come up with a solution to remove that warning, all the animal food, to include for the cows, that's all custom, or this map works the way it's expected. It just tends to propagate, I guess, as far as from the way it was in Farm Sim 19, where if we edit the default food, the way the mechanics of the default animal food works, the engine just doesn't like that for some reason. So that's the only reason why we get that warning. Okay, so we got no other errors or warnings, I guess, as far as in our log. So far, we're good. Go ahead, go into the game, go into the map. Let's go ahead and turn off that autosave while we're in testing. Don't need that to be saving. And then let's go over to our paper productions over in the industrial park. I'll end up replacing this picture. That was just kind of a placeholder for now. And there she be. There's our paper production with all of our newly added. We removed the floor. So we're just using the natural ground. So if we place this manually, we'll show that here in a second too. If we place it manually, what it will do is it will just add the asphalt to the ground as far as part of the leveling, the clear and leveling aspects. So there's our new skylight. So we got that natural light coming through there, but we have a nice on frame here from the inside. It's not just a rough cut hole into the roof. That looks really cool. Bring some natural light into the building. So it does have collision. And did I remove that clear mesh? I think I did remove that clear mesh. Let me double check it. If I did, I am going to have to make some adjustment to... I did take... Oh, I just turned it off. That's what I did. I guess I could take that approach too. So I've got the occluder mesh on our scene graphics as far as in our Giants editor, as far as the way that's designed in there. I got it turned off, so it's not visible. So it actually does not make that back door, I guess, as far as disappear. I'll probably end up just taking it completely out, to be quite honest, by the time it's all said and done. But yeah, we turned out pretty good on our building. We don't have any major wrinkles, or other than the custom parallax that's in that. That's part of another reason why we wanted to apply that custom parallax back to it. Our building turned out pretty good. I was debating whether or not I wanted to make these windows actually see-through, but I kind of like the looks of these industrial type of windows, I guess, as far as for that Giants has already created. We'll probably just leave it that way. That turned out pretty stinking cool, I do have to say. So now we want to test out how all the snow aspects will apply to this. Let's do that here real quick. So I want to do some things in our easy dev controls. Okay, let's do some things in our easy dev controls. One of which I want to turn on to flight mode. And then also we need to adjust the weather. So I'm going to put this right to February. We'll go to 8 o'clock in the morning. We'll set this to snowing. And also add some snow. So let's see how we look. So we should have snow all across our roof. Looking good. So all the trim is covered. Got it all around one part of our skylight. We got that peak. Oh, there's the snow coming in there. We're not seeing any bare spots. Oh, woke too soon. So we do have one little piece here on the trim that I didn't get. This is the same problem I had when I initially tried to apply this. But it just looks like it's that one little strip right here. One little strip right here on the outside trim of the roof here that didn't get fitted there. Something didn't get selected there, so we'll have to... That turned out actually better than I thought it would. I'll be honest. That actually turned out pretty stinking cool. I like it. Cool. And then if we actually spawn this in here while we're in February, we can confirm. I have already done that, I guess, as far as where we can confirm that the snow cap. Like, oh, we got this side here too. Didn't get selected. I just noticed. Got a little bit of work in Blender to do, I guess, as far as to get the trim completely covered in the snow. But you can see how that works, I guess, as far as if we don't get all the pieces selected properly and get them over to the that proper UV on the UV2. this is the result you get. So we got a little bit of selections, I guess, as far as to get that all completely covered in snow. So we got the two opposite corners, the kitty corners, I guess, as far as I didn't get selected. That's not a big deal. We'll check that out in Blender just to see what we need to fix there. But for the most part, that turned out pretty stinking good. Pretty good. So we do have snow on the ground, so we can see. I may need to adjust the indoor areas. We do have some of the snow still coming through there. That's a easy enough adjustment. But yeah, here's the interior of our building now. We went from no interior at all to this result. Bird kill. Alright, so what we'll do now we've tested the snow, let's go over to our main farm. And we'll manually place one of these down and just see how that looks. So what this will do, if we manually place it down, it's going to apply that clear and leveling area, I guess, as far as to add the asphalt by placing it down manually. So we'll be able to test out by removing that floor that we previously had in our model how that's going to look. Let's go to the store and go to constructions, and let's go to our paper production. We definitely don't want to put it on top of ourselves. Whoop. That's some bushes there. Let's put it over here. So the base price of this production is $70,000, so it's going to cost us about a little more than $1,000, I guess, as far as to put it in this spot. But it kind of gives you an idea how the placement works on it. Let's put it right about there. Alright, so the clear areas and the living layers seem to work exactly like I expected, as far as to add that asphalt to the ground. That turned out pretty good. So we do still have a little bit of clipping here based on that, so that might be something else we can adjust in the model. So that's part of that brush for the doors, I guess, as far as for the bay doors. We'll probably take that out. So that would be pretty easy to spank out, quite honestly. I'm seeing a little bit of crinkling, I guess, as far as on the polys over in this corner. Not terrible. I might be able to address that, I guess, as far as to kind of smooth that out. That's about really the only problem area I'm seeing is just that right there in the corner. So that's all part of that recollapsing procedure, I guess, as far as to do a little bit at a time. So we do got some a few more tweaks, I guess, as far as to make sure to remove those types of items in there. But the clear areas seem to work pretty good to add that asphalt to the ground. That works fabulously. So not only to the roof, got those pieces of trim still do. We got some areas to clean up, I guess, as far as on our thresh for bay doors. I do like this natural light that comes in though. Kind of removes the necessity to have lights in the building, because you got the natural light through the skylight. Other than the fact that when it gets super duper dark, I guess that would only be the upside. So whether or not we decide, I guess, as far as to put lights in here or not, still yet to be determined. But yeah, I'm gonna have to remove that because that's gonna annoy me. Now the fact that we don't see that over at our paper production at the industrial part makes me tend to wonder. I probably got this set a little bit lower. Yep, so I must have that set lower. So this is loaded dynamically, and wanted to test it out to see how it reacts with manually placing it. So you can see the differences, I guess, as far as that do present themselves. Dynamically loaded placeables do not make heat, I guess, as far as to the level and clear areas, as far as to apply the asphalt to it. It's just going to use whatever ground that is on, put onto the map, I guess, as far as its ground. So it's not, that's the main difference between a dynamically placed placeable and a manually placed one. But you can see those differences as I've already demonstrated. So we still do have some adjustments to make. Do that, and I think that was really quick. That went really quick. I know I just kind of whipped through that, but I've done this process, I guess, as far as several times. I guess as far as it just becoming second nature to me at this point. Alright, so what we'll do, go ahead and get out of here. We've tested that all out to be a successful test. Let's get out of the game, and we'll see if we can make some additional adjustments to our model. That went way more smoother than I expected to, I'll be honest. But I'm glad it did. Alright, so here we are back over here. Let's whip him back on over to the Giants editor. Alright, so we're back at our Giants editor. And what we need to do at this point is to reopen our Max. Let me go ahead and do that real quick. And we'll reopen that scene that we saved, I guess, as far as with all of our current changes. Alright, we're going to, we don't need this guy anymore. I'm just going to do some cleanup on my desktop here while I'm at it. That, and let's get our 3ds Max loaded back up. Appreciate everybody sticking around and checking us out. I guess this is on a Modeling Monday. Just finishing up some work that we did for Spline Design Studios Saturday this past Saturday. Just finishing it up. Alright, so we got our Max reloaded. Let's get our scene back loaded up here and see what kind of changes we can make now that we've tested it out in the game. So we need to point to where we got our scene file. It should be in here. Nope, take that back. Not in our map. So the initial premise for when I created this this paper production was to be a standalone, but the fact that we're trying to implement it into our map, this will eventually become a standalone as well. Alright, so we want to go into here, and we want to go into our paper production stuff and open this scene. There we go. Voila. So, one of the first things I want to address with this prior to getting that all exported, get it back in Blender and so on, is to take that threshold that's in our bay doors. We're noticing some clipping on, let's see, what was actually clipping. Right, so we can remove, let's hide our floor. So it would have been that piece right there, I'm assuming. So we'll probably need to take that out. Yeah, so it probably would have been these polys here that we're actually clipping. So we can either lower those down or just remove them entirely. Because as we've come to find or whatever, it doesn't actually show when you manually place it either. So probably just go ahead and just take those right out and remove all that clipping that was in the ground. That's probably the approach I'll take. So those are in that original shape there. Alright, cool. Let's go ahead and take these out. Like it's got a rounded corner on it. So name of the game with the way a lot of this these corners on not only the building but also the cement, these pillars and so on, they all got rounded corners to them. Want to make sure we get all that detail out of it. Get all that out of there. Okay. Just checking some things out here real quick, I guess, as far as we alright, so everything's going good. Still got mic and everything. I'm glad the stream is holding up. I've had some issues, I guess, as far as in the past, so I get a little bit anxious, I guess, as far as that stream kind of goes sour on us. But to know that we're still out here. Alright, so we'll get all that detail out of there. So this is what was clipping when we placed it manually, so we just want to take that, all that detail out. We probably don't even need the majority of this that's below here, but I'll leave most of that. It's not really hurting anything. I'm just going to take out the items that are actually clipping. That'll work out just fine. Just a little bit of fine tuning. Oh, I don't want that. I want to keep that. At least for now. At least for now. Alright, so cool. Got all that out of there. Get them all out. Let's make sure we got them all. Yep, got them all. Sweet. That's cleaned up. That's pretty much all we got to do at this level. So let me go ahead. Under that, we'll reset the X form. Anytime we edit the model, we always want to make sure that our X form is solid. So especially either adding parts and polys to it or removing from it, we always want to double check our pivot and also our X form. Make sure everything is nice and solid. In this case, we are. That's good. Collapse that. Good to go. Now I'll go ahead and save this scene. That's all we needed to do in this stage. Resave our scene. Cool. And then we can restart that. Go through that collapsing process. Now, as we already noticed, I guess as far as we did notice a little bit of poly tear or crinkling, I guess as far as in this one corner here. But that was the only thing. So I guess we'll take a look at the model prior to export and see if we can remedy that. If not, it's not a real bad crinkle. I'm not going to be too concerned about it. It may come down to we'll just have to recreate, I guess, as far as that that area, I guess, as far as with a new poly. If it comes down to that. If it comes down to that. Alright, so we got our scene saved. Let's go ahead and recollapse this down. Same process that we've already shown. So, again, rinse and repeat. Collapse. Selected. Rinse and repeat. I might take a little bit different approach on how I collapse this as far as which items that I'm choosing as I collapse it down little by little. That might even correct, I guess, as far as the crunching of the poly that we saw in this corner. We'll see how it turns out for us. We'll just see how it turns out for us. Alright, let's do the exterior walls. So far we're done good, I guess, as far as with how everything is turning out, though. So the only downside moving forward with this is the way we'll have to redo the UV mapping on the UV2 once we get it back into Blender. A lot of all that I did previously, that'll all have to get redone. That's the only downside, I guess, as far as having to go this route. It's the only feasible way that I've found to do it, because being able to do what I'm doing in 3ds Max here, I can't do it as easily in Blender. Call me weird or whatever, but it's like being able to model and do all the stuff that I'm doing in Max. I know how to do it better in 3ds Max. That's what I'm more tenured to in comparison to Blender. So again, call me strange, call me weird, but that's just how it works for me. Alright, so did I actually collapse that? Yes, I did. Okay, so we want to check our pivot. And also put that back to another volume. Yeah, I can just do it so much easier and work in 3ds Max as far as navigating around. I'm just so much more used to it in here. I find myself in Blender, I guess, as far as having to look things up, I guess, as far as how do I do this, how do I do that. So the only thing that I will primarily do, I guess, as far as in Blender is just to make use of being able to apply that building shader to make that second UV to add all that aspects as far as the custom parallax and so on. Can't do a lot of that in this version of Max that I do. That's the only unfortunate thing. Okay. I work with the tools that I have available to me, I suppose, when I say that. Alright, let's continue collapsing this down. Let's do Windows. A lot of these functions that I'm doing in here, I'm very well sure, I guess as far as you can do it much the same in Blender. I'm not doubting that. Just that I know how to do it in here much more easily, and I just stick with what I'm used to. I work with what's available to me. That's about all. I expect that. We're back to an editable poly. Cool. Do the interior roof and walls. Collapse that down. These are probably the biggest chunks. Here's all that. Okay. And the only thing we got left is the door jamb. So we don't need the glass or the door shape. Those are separate items in our scene graphic as far as for our model and Giants editor. Okay, so this will be the last piece we need to collapse. Okay. And convert that back to editable poly. Cool. We're all pretty good to go. Got it all collapsed down. One shape. Now we'll just unhide this piece and our floor. We're leaving the floor out as we already predetermined. So we'll select all of that and narrow it down to just that. Take everything else out. Good to go. Now all we gotta do is export that out as a new building. So I'm gonna go ahead and take out that previous rendition of our building, which is this one. Don't need that one anymore. Okay, and now we can export this one out. Put that in the same location. Yep. Rinse and repeat. All it comes down to paper production. We want to save this as i3D. Giants i3D, and we'll save that as building. We'll have to go through the same steps that we did previously. Export that out. Yes, sir. There we go. And we'll bring this back. Alright, there we go. Now, we need to go into this building that we just saved and change out where that's located. We're going to go over to here. Grab this texture for company warehouse mat. Apply that to here. Oopsie. And we'll have to dollar data it out. Oop, that out of there. So we'll dollar data that, make it relative, I guess, as far as our game install location. Save that. Cool. Now we'll open that up separate. Like I said, a lot of rinse and repeat. Give this a second to load up so we can get everything applied the way it needs to be. Cool beans. Alright, so we'll go ahead and rename our shape. Zero this out, so we'll go ahead and do while it's by itself and nothing else in here. Reach to translate pretty easily. Get that back to 0. Nice. That'll be able to. So if we didn't do that, if we bring it into our paper production here, it wouldn't put it in the right spot. We're just gonna make sure that's completely zeroed out. Okay. I might have missed pointing that. So now we need to get our other textures. Need to add tangent. We'll add our gloss map. Point that over to our game files. We want to go games on Steam. 20. Whoa, easy there. 22 data maps. US textures, and then that should be company warehouse specular. Again, I've done this so many times, I guess, as far as it's kind of confused in my brain, I guess, as far as where all these things are located. Makes it a little bit easier, just as far as to get where I need to be. Okay, so company warehouse, normal. Cool. Now if I hadn't put that tangent on there, like I did here in the shape, it wouldn't allow me to put the normal to it. That's just a quick little fix to get first to be able to get that done. Alright, so I also want to change the clip distance. And that's all we should need to do. We'll go ahead and save this. Right over top of the other one that we already had. Paper production, right over this guy. Yes, please. And close that out. Now, I think before we even go ahead and bring it into here, we already know what else we need to do. So I think I'll just go ahead and I'll bring it in here just to kind of confirm everything is good to go. And if it is, I want to export that i3D that we just saved into OBJ, bring it into Blender, and get all that done with UV2 mapping for the building shader items. Alright, so we'll bring it in here initially, just to confirm that everything's good to go. Cut that. Paste. Okay. Now what we'll do is we'll just hide this one, and then let's add some light, just to confirm everything is good to go in here. And let me adjust the slide. There we go. Okay. So yep, I'm just wanted to move the light around just to kind of see. So this is our new model. It's got our new skylight. We took the thresh out of the doors there. It'll remove that clipping as far as that we're experiencing. And I could have probably took these polys out too, but that was the only thing that I noticed clipping, so we'll just, that should be fine. Alright, so we're all good to go there. Go ahead and remove this here for now. That one's not the one we want to use in our paper production because it doesn't have the building shader applied to it for all the snow aspects. So what we want to do is actually reopen this one here so we can export that out as a OBJ. And I already did some cleanup because as far as to remove that previous OBJ and bring it into Blender, so we should be good to go. Are we having fun yet? I know if we're not having fun, then we're doing something wrong. I know I'm having fun. I'm glad to see that we're getting some stuff done. You were here for a bit. Oh, sorry, Orion, missed your chat. But I'm too busy mulching a field. You're mulching a field. That sounds like fun. Sorry I missed that chat there, Orion. No problem. I appreciate you stopping by. Did I not load? I did not. Alright. I'm gonna repoint to that. So let's get this opened up. Like so. Nice. And we need to export this guy out. Mulching a field. That sounds like fun. Shoot, what did I do? Export selection. Oh, I don't have any selected, that's why. You dummy. Gotta select it first before you can actually export it. Wait, what's happening? There we go. So we need to, let's put this right to the desktop. And we'll do this as an OBJ. And let's do that as building. I'm going to be able to bring this into our Blender. And do the same thing that we did with our UV2. Okay. So just to confirm that it didn't create that OBJ, which is right there. Good to go. Now we can go ahead and close this out. And open up our Blender. And again, rinse and repeat. Okay, so we got our Blender opened up. Go ahead and import that Blender file that we just exported. It's on our desktop, right there. Sweet. Okay. Okay, so some preliminary things we need to do. Pull this out. We need to be in here. We need to get this rotation re-zeroed back out. That's just because of that OBJ format. It tends to want to do that when we export it from Giant, so we want to make sure we get rid of that. Otherwise, we would have to just do it in Giant Editor. We have to remember to do that to freeze the translate on the rotate, I guess, as far as in Giant Editor. So just to kind of save ourselves a step, we can do that right here in Blender. So we'll do that just like so. Nice, so that's done. Now we'll go ahead and pull out another window and get our UV editor going. Nice. So another thing we need to do is establish a material. Let's do new, and we want to name this company warehouse mat. Okay, so there's our texture, and we want to actually go here. There's our UV. We want to assign that. So there's our UV again. Now we need to bring in our texture, and we're going to point this right to our working folder, which is going to be this file. There we go. So there's our texture. Good to go. Now we need to establish my UV2, and to do that we'll go into here, add a new UV. I'm going to rename this. Creature of habit. When it comes to that, I just like to make absolutely sure that it's going to be my own custom UV, not something randomly and funky created. Alright, so now with this material into our UV, we can actually apply it to our model over here, like so. And we can confirm texture showing on there. Good to go. So we moved to the floor, and we took out the thresh for the doors. Those were clipping when we placed it manually. So yeah, we can confirm all the adjustments that we made to our model and max are definitely evident here. Alright, cool. So now we need to sync up what we select in either window, I guess, as far as they show up simultaneously or synchronize. That would be this one right here. Now anything we select in either window, it'll highlight both windows. Okay. Now first thing I'll do, since I know where that's at, is our roof pieces. Get that slid over, so we'll get it selected, and then we'll deal with the trim. Now we did have that issue, I guess, as far as where part of the trim wasn't getting any snow on it. So we'll have to make sure, I guess, as far as prior to export here, that we take care of what we didn't select last time. Sounds easy enough, doesn't it? But okay, let's go ahead and oh shoot, gotta be careful. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and tile this. I think I might have moved it a little too much. Let me go ahead, properties. We'll tile this real quick. I know it gets a little bit funky. Just to ensure, yeah, see, so how I shifted that outside of where I wanted that to be, as far as, yeah, so we need to, that's why I wanted to tile it there anyway. You gotta move it back into that texture, there we go. This gets so laggy when I try to tile this, so. Okay, now that I know I'm in the right spot, let me untile that. Now we just want to make sure this entire UV is to the right of ground zero, which is where this is at. As long as that's there, we'll get that result like we already seen in the game, I guess, as far as to have the snow. Okay. I just want to slide this over. Get more, like so. Okay, now we can deal with getting this trim selected. I can actually hide this for now. We'll bring that back probably to I might end up bringing that back, but okay, so we gotta deselect all that. Now let's get this trim. This is always the fun part, because we did miss some pieces, obviously, like we already confirmed. Why is this not letting me select? Don't be stingy. Okay, why is it not letting me select? Oh, say we want faces. Okay, there we go. That was why. I want to select the faces. There we go. Good to go. Make sure we get it all this time. So it was only the two opposite corners that we missed getting all of it. So I guess after we get this selected here, we'll take a look in here and see what we might have missed. Just kind of go from there. This is really about the only tedious part to it. It does help you appreciate, I guess, as far as what goes into making all these types of things work. You know, as far as getting the snow on these. So it was right in this area where it was not putting any snow. So this corner and the kitty corner, for some reason, I don't know why that is, but don't know why that is. We'll just ensure in here, I guess, as far as that we've got everything we need to make sure that it's going to cover it all. We only want that top edge there. We don't want all the trim, I guess, as far as to include the side to have the snow on it. Now, I could, in theory, as I already pointed out, even though we select, I guess, as far as the items, just like the roof, we did confirm or whatever that didn't apply to snow to the inside of the roof. We could probably take the approach of just selecting all that trim. So now that we know where it is in our UV here, we can just probably select that all, and it should be fine. The only place it should, in all actuality, apply the snow is on that side. So the polys that are opposing, I guess, as far as the direction the snow is falling. So we should, in theory, be able to just select all that trim. We might try that out just to kind of see. I've been taking the approach of just doing the tops here, but obviously in the process of doing that, sometimes I miss getting areas over to where it needs to go to apply the snow. So instead of trying to segregate it out, we could probably just move the whole deal. So let's do that. Let's save ourselves a little bit of headache. So I need to bring up my selection tool. Let's do that. So let's select all that trim right there. There we go. So we got all the trim selected. There we go. Yep, so that looks good. So we'll actually get that moved. We'll just slide that over right along the same line, I guess, as far as where it's at. I know I had moved it a little bit as far as by, bringing up the tile. Pretty much, I think if I just slide that over, we should be good to go. But we can take a little bit different approach, I guess, as far as how we get this in the proper location for our UV2. Don't have to do it the same way. More than one way to accomplish, I guess, that end result. Okay, so let's move this over. And I'll probably turn on the tile anyway, just to make sure that I'm staying in that same part of the tile on our ground zero. Okay, so let's go ahead and tile that just to make sure. I can move it just on the one axis, but sometimes I forget how to do that. And that's another reason why I don't tend to use Blender all that much here, because there's lots of functions and features that are in this thing that I just sometimes forget how to do it. Alright, so if we do properties, let's retile that. Just make sure we're in the right zone, which I am not. I gotta move it back up into this zone here. Yep. So let's do up this way. We need to be right there. Okay, now we'll untile that. That up. Now, as long as we're to the right of our zero, just like we are on our roof pieces, we should be good to go there. Sweet. Alright, so that's done. Now we need to get the peak of our roof, which you gotta remember where that's at. That's all down here. We can do. We already know that we did that previously. I guess as far as just to select that whole thing to have the snow on it. That turned out pretty good. That turned out marvelous. So let's go ahead, select all that. All that trim. Now, I think much the same thing. We'll go ahead and just slide that. I don't know if I want to move that up a little bit. Let's bring tile back out. Okay, zoom in. We can see where that's at. Okay, so we want to move this up to. Let's see here. Where's the other one at? Oh my goodness. The way this repeat works on here when you zoom in and out is kind of funky. This is another thing I don't like about Blender. I haven't figured out a way, I guess, as far as to fix that. It doesn't really matter because I can work through it, I guess. The only thing I want to do, let's move that up to here. I think that'll work. Move this up to here. That. Now if I just slide it over, I guess as far as to the right of ground zero, we should be good. Yep, just need to get it slid over to the right. Might have to turn the tile back on again just to make sure that I'm in the right area of the texture. Okay, let's retile that. Zoom it in. I am not, so I just shifted a little bit. Gotta be in that dark zone there. This is about the only reason why I don't like to use Blender, because of stuff like this. I know it's an older version of Blender, totally understand, but even the newer versions of Blender react, for me at least, the same way, and I'd rather not use it. Okay, so now we got that to the right of ground zero. Much the same as our other trim that we did right there. The only thing we got left is to do the skylight frame. So far so good. So we need the skylight frame. Let's see where that's at. That stuff is right here. So this is further up this way. Okay, so all of this right here. We just need to highlight all that. Select all that up. There we go. So you got that all selected. I'll just slide this over this way. Cool. That'll work. So now all the parts that we want to have snow on it, our roof, trim around, so our frame for our skylight, our trim around our roof, and then also trim for the peak of the roof is all slid over to the right side, I guess, as far as of ground zero. That's should be all good to go. So the approach that we changed, that we took, I guess, as far as to not do just the top side of that, we took the whole. So we'll see how this presents itself there. If it ends up putting snow on the entire thing there, we might adjust it, might leave it alone. We'll just see how it looks. Just kind of go from there. Alright, so the only other thing I want to do here is rename this. Okay. Okay. That got us back into object mode. Let's go back into here. So model looks good from that regard. We got all of our UV2 completed. Set this up here and we'll save this as a new Blender file. I think the approach I'll take is just to bring in another new Blender file. We'll do save as, and we'll do this as blend new B. Now eventually what I'll probably end up doing is just removing, I don't really find it necessary. Once everything works out in the latest Blender file save. I can just purge, I guess, as far as the other Blender files. For now, we'll just make a new Blender file just to make sure we always have a backup, or is there something to fall back on if something goes terribly wrong. So far, we haven't had that problem, so good to go. So that did save that. Cool. Now from here, we can actually just export this out as an i3D. Much the same thing we do in Blender, or Max, I should say. So we'll just spit that out as an i3D on our desktop. Oh, it actually put that. Hold on. I boo-booed there. I put it in here. It's not what I wanted it to save. Probably doesn't really matter, but I'll go ahead and have this just go right to the desktop, just for the sake of the actual Blender file. Yeah, let me do that. There's a method in my madness when it comes to how I want to save these things. This one I did want to go to the desktop. Alright, let's do that. Building new B, yes. Okay. And then also what I'll do, since I just did that, I want to resave this Blender file. Get rid of that one and resave that again. Nope, this will be a B. Okay, and just to confirm. Awesome sauce. Alright, cool. So we do have our i3D that's traced here. Nice. So let's get that opened up in our Giants editor and go through the following motions there. Hopefully we corrected two things. So to remove the thresh, I guess as far as on our bay doors, all that clipping that we saw there when placing it manually, and also what was wrong with the way the snow was showing up on the road. That's the two things that we were trying to take care of and remedy, I guess, as far as based on our previous test. Alright, so let's do that. Could add tangent to that. Cool. We want to actually apply a rigid body to this. Change our clip distance. We want to apply the rigid body because we want a collision on this thing. And commence to applying the textures, which are all going to be right in the game. Right to the game file. So we'll go Maps, US, Texture, Company Warehouse Diffuse. Right there. Okay, we can apply our loss map. Rinse and repeat. So there's our specular. So far so good. Apply our normal. All in the same location. That's kind of nice too. Okay, and then lastly, we'll go ahead and apply our building shader. Reestablish that custom parallax. Cool. We'll select the custom parallax, and that's all done. So we'll go ahead and save that to our desktop as a binary, so we can get that shapes file right over top of that one. Sweet, and we close that out. No. Yeah, so like I said before, when you save it as binary, it'll ask you if you still want to save it, because by default, when you save it just as an i3D, it already has a shapes file established. We confirmed or whatever did make the shapes file by saving it as a binary. So as far as Giants is concerned, you haven't really saved it yet, because that's all he did was create the binary. Okay, so we're all good to go. So now we should be able to open this up just to confirm. Actually, one way we can go about this before I do that, we can open this up in our Notepad++ just to confirm everything is $data. So we got our building shader, so on and so forth. I'm going to rename this to Untitled. That's what Blender creates as far as when you create the export. let's do save. Cool. Now that's all good to go. We should be able to bring that right into our paper production, which is right here. So we still got that turned off. Let's go ahead and turn that back on real quick. Now we can bring that one in there. So this one that I bring in now will have all the aspects of the building shader. Kind of what we want. Cool. That's already in the location we need it to be, so that's good. So we did that adjustment to the rotation and all that stuff too, so that definitely ensured it gets as far as going to put it in the right spot. Okay, so we'll do a put this in the proper location in our scene graph, and then we're going to take all these items and put it in our new model. Rinse and repeat. Everything's been working out wonderfully so far here, and I'm definitely happy for that. Sometimes it doesn't always go this smooth. It's always something that tends to put a monkey wrench in the mix. It's always a good thing as far as when everything comes out the way you expect it. So we got that fabricated light in here. So there's our changes that we made. We took the thresh out for the bay doors because that was clipping when we placed it manually. And it'll have the aspects for the snow up on the roof there, so we'll be able to test that out in the game. Make sure that's all working like we expect it to. Let me go ahead and remove this light. Everything is good to go. Put this one here, so we can go ahead and save this as our new paper production. Go to our map. Save right over this guy. Yes, please. And then we'll just have to bring it over to our game. Cool. Now, if this all checks out here, as far as the snow works properly, we don't get any more clipping on our threshold for a door. Regardless if it's dynamically placed or manually placed, we're in good shape. We'll be in good shape. So let's go ahead and move this over so we can get this over to our mods folder in our map in the game. Alright, so let's switch on over. Oh, I see what it did there. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and close this. I did not realize it would do that. Oh, okay. I see what I did last time when I was doing that. So it does have an F8 function just like we do in the game, I guess, as far as to show you in Giant Center, I guess, as far as... Okay, so I was wondering why I did that last time. Alright, cool. Let's get out of that. There we go. I can cycle through those. Cool. Good to know. Alright, let's get our stuff moved over. Okay, that I need to keep. So, right from our edit folder, I guess as far as on our edit location, we'll bring that over to our mods folder where our map is unpacked. Paste. Replace those, yes please. That should be all we need to do. So far we don't have the necessity to do any XML changes, I guess, as far as to it, because we haven't adjusted anything in our scene graph that would require that. So if we do tend to do that, like with that occluder mesh, right now I just got it invisible. I'll probably end up pulling that out, which is going to require that edit to the XML. I'll do that, I guess, as far as post stream. To be quite honest, and we got everything that we need in here, I guess, as far as to go test this out in the game. So let's go ahead and load up the game, and let's see what we got. Gotta check out the fruits of our labor. Alrighty then. So I've been keeping the game sounds down. If anyone would like to hear the game sounds a little bit more, just feel free to let me know. Most of the time when I'm in testing here, I don't worry about that all too much. I'm more concerned at this point, and what I'm doing is in the visuals of it. So if there's anyone that does care to want to hear the game sounds, definitely let me know. Alright, so we'll go ahead and load this up. Check our devlog. That one warning, I guess, as far as for the animal food, which has been evident. Again, I'll keep reiterating, I guess, as far as if I do figure out a way to clear that warning, I guess, as far as for editing the mechanics, I guess, of the default, the animal food mechanics, then we'll do that. But as it stands for now, That's the only reason why that warning is coming. Everything works as is expected. Alright, so no other warnings. That's good. I'd like to see it. So let's go on into our map. Confirm our character, and let's turn off autosave. So while we're in testing, we don't need it to save that. And let's go over to our paper production, over to the industrial park. See how we did. Alright, so what I actually want to do is actually place one of these down manually and see how that works with our thresh to make sure that's not clipping anymore. So far, this looks pretty good. Our skylight. We'll check to see how the snow works, I guess, as far as by using easy dev controls. Let's go over to the main farm here real quick and place it down manually to make sure we got everything fixed with the threshold on our bay doors. Okay. Let's go to the store. Go to construction. Production. And this guy, let's put it not on top of ourselves, that's for sure. Put it over in this corner again. There we go. And from what I can tell, there's no more clipping on our threshes for doors. That's definitely something that we were trying to correct, which we did. Nice. So places pretty nice, I guess, as far as what the clear areas. Make sure you got plenty of cleared area, I guess, as far as for the inputs and where the pallets will spawn. Cool. How we go into the production here to actually get it activated. So it just takes water and wood chips to make our paper pallet, which is a custom pallet. Coming to understand, I guess, as far as that, the Platinum DLC does have a paper production, as far as a paper mill in there. It pretty much uses the same fill type that I'm using here. This is something I've already had since Farm Sim 19, so I just brought it into the 22 version of the map. So whether or not this will actually coincide, I guess, as far as what goes on with the Platinum DLC, I'm not 100% sure. I've not been able to test that as I do not have the Platinum DLC. So I can only confirm that I totally understand, I guess, as far as there is a fill type for paper, which is a totally different type of pallet than what I've got for this production. So if all works, and no, there's a lot of custom pallets that I've done for the dairy production that coincide, I guess, as far as the same fill types that Giants has by default. It just produces on this map a different type of pallet than what you would see by default. So that's just to kind of clarify a little bit what I've got going with this one here. This concept that I've got for this paper production is totally separate, I guess, as far as from what Giants has created in the Platinum DLC. Alright, so that's all looking good. Now we just need to test out the snow. I guess we can do that while we're over here. Let's bring up our easy dev and apply the appropriate weather pattern here. So we want to do, I'm going to turn on my flight mode, adjust our weather, go right to February, 8 o'clock in the morning, yes please, put some snow, and also put some snow on the ground. Cool, now we can check and see how we look. Let's see how we did here. So, still seeing it's missing that. Is it still missing that? Like it is. You son of a gun anyway. Well, it's still missing some of that trim. That's interesting. I know it seems to be missing more than what it was in the first place. So, it's particularly looking at this edge right there. Well, it's still missing all of that, even though we did clearly select that all. Clearly selected that all, so there's still some that we're missing, so it's probably still do the same corners. And now we're missing some of the, how the heck is that happening? We're missing some of this now. Unbelievable. So this is part of the issue that I've been having with getting, even though I'm selecting it all, at least it would appear to, stands to reason it should be putting the snow on it, but this has been my issue, I guess, as far as going back and forth and going through the same process to try and get that all covered with snow. So I'll probably have to go back into the Blender file and adjust it. At this point, we don't need to do any more adjustments to the model in Max. I can just go into the Blender file and absolutely ensure it as far as we got everything where it needs to be. It may just come down to I may need to slide that selection over further to the right. Maybe coming down to that. Not 100% sure. But it's even missing some on our peak piece of trim here. Right there. So yeah, definitely need to take a look at that and see what's going on with that. Did I may not have done the skylight. I don't remember if I did. It actually doesn't look too bad though, actually. The thing that is a problem still, this piece of trim here on our peak, and also our kitty corners right there and over here. So that's definitely still some adjustments we need to make. We can absolutely just go into the Blender file and fix that. I do need to adjust, it looks like, the indoor areas, much the same as it was presenting over on the dynamically placed. Yep, so I need to adjust the indoor areas just a tad, but the snow doesn't come inside. Do we have collision? Good. We got the natural light coming through the sky. Making use of those cutouts that were already in the roof by default. I clean them up there, make them look really nice. Cool. Other than having to adjust the indoor areas, that's not a big deal. We'll go back into the Blender file, I guess, as far as one more time, and see what we can fix it for that roof, and then we can export that out once again. Alright, so, good test. At least we know what we need to address. Go ahead and get out of this. Okay, let's move this back over to our Giants editor. Okay, here we're back in our Giants editor. So we need to go back into Blender. I still got that open, so I'll be able to see what's going on with our selections on that. Let's see what we got going on. So let's go into Blender, and so I did select that. Okay, so we did get that. That's moved over right there. Okay, so let me check. See what else did we move over? We moved all this over. I might have it too far over, so there is such a thing as far as being too far over. So if it might be missing over on this here because we're too far over to the right. So I might have to move this in. That might be all that. So all this here would be that trim going around the outside edge of the roof. That might be what's happening there. And then this should be for our peak, which that should have been fine. That should have been, in theory, fine. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's get our selection tool. Whoops. Oh, what did I push? Push something that I probably shouldn't have. Oh, hold on. What did I push? Why is it not letting me select? Dadgummit. Alright, let me go ahead and reopen this Blender file. I think I screwed something up. I already saved it, so that's good. Let's go ahead and reopen it. I know, I pushed something I guess I probably shouldn't have, so we're just going to reopen it. Wasn't letting me do anything. Another reason it's kind of finicky with how Blender works. Okay, so got that part. So our peak piece should be down right here. Or in this mode, selection. Yep, this should be our peak piece. Let's unselect that. Alright, so there's our peak piece. That should be good to go. So the fact that it's missing the one end, not really sure why that's happening. Let's file that out real quick to see what's going on with that. Let's zoom in. Okay, we're in the right area, that's good. So that much is good. And it may come down to, are we not far enough over to the right? Let's see. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. We need to have this completely to the right of our ground zero for our texture. That's based on our primary texture. We're in our UV2. I might need to just move it over a little bit. Let me try doing that. Something needs to be done because we're obviously missing some of the some of that peak having some, and it was mostly on this end. Wasn't putting any snow, so it's kind of backwards when I think about it. It's over here, so it almost suggests like it is over too far, like this trim is. I can understand this being too far over. So if you look and see where our roof is at, I just need to get this scooted over a little bit more. So I might end up putting this in a different spot just to ensure all that's going to get covered with snow. Okay, let's move this one over first just a little bit. I'm just kind of eyeballing it, actually, just kind of make sure it's to the right. Just draw an imaginary line, I guess, as far as I can tile it, but you know how funky that is, so. Let me actually turn the tile back on. Oh, I said that. I kind of need it. Alright, let's tile that. So as far as this goes, oh, that is so chuggy. Oh man, I'm not going to be able to piggyback that, unfortunately, so I might just move this part. Let's see here. I think I got room to put this up to here, but I'd be able to move it in a little bit more so it's not sticking out so far on that end. Okay, so let's do that. Let's do that. Let's deselect all that. Selection tool. All of this. Oh my goodness, that thing is so shifty. Make sure we got it all selected. We can see that selected in our viewport. Now I'm just going to move that up to here. That way I've got room to be able to move it in a little bit to the left. All right. Okay, we'll move it up here. Oh my goodness, that's chuggy. So chuggy. Alright, zoom in a little bit. Make sure we're in that area properly. Okay. And then what we'll also want to do is get it slid over so that this end lines up more with that, so it's not so far over. Okay. Yeah, the fact that it kind of wonks out, I guess, as far as moving around with that repeated like that, it's super annoying. It's very, very annoying. When I'm zoomed in like this, it's not so bad. It's when I zoom out when it's the worst. Okay, so now we got this edge, I guess, as far as not got it more even, I guess, as far as with our other pieces there. So we should be good. I should correct that issue, I guess, as far as with it not applying snow, I guess, as far as to that end. I'm not really sure what was going on with that, but hopefully by moving that out a little bit more on our peak, maybe that'll fix that. Can only hope. Alright, let's turn the repeat off of that. Now we got that adjusted. Okay. Let's deselect all that. Let's make a new Blender file. And we'll do this one as a C. And again, like I've said earlier, I guess as far as once I have confirmed everything is good to go, the latest Blender file, I'll just end up keeping that and purging the rest. Once I've got it, everything the way I want it. So right now, let's just confirm we have a new Blender C. So these previous saves there, I won't necessarily need to keep. They're not that big of a file, but there's really no sense in keeping those, I guess, as far as just to kind of confuse yourself later if you need to come back in here, just to be able to choose one file. Alright, so we got that saved. Now what I want to do is clear out that previous i3D that we saved, which is this guy. And now that I think of that, it's going to create a different named i3D anyway. But I don't need that one, so we We already confirmed that one's good to go. I can just get rid of it. And so we got the Blender file. Let's go ahead and export this. And we want to put that right to the desktop. Yep. I'm going to do this one. Okay, I guess I'm just going to keep it as B. Alright, that's fine. Probably a good thing I did remove that. Otherwise, I'll just want to overwrite. Sometimes the overwrite, when you do it from Blender, doesn't always want to overwrite. It's always like to just delete or purge, I guess, as far as the previous export. So just to make sure, I guess, as far as that it does do a true new i3D, I just purge the old one instead of overwriting. Sometimes it does some funky things when it tries to overwrite it, the original. Especially when you've got that shapes file when we saved it previously as a binary. Okay. So just to confirm, I did save that right there. Let's go ahead and open that up. So hopefully by all these adjustments that we made there, we'll have snow entirely covering up our roof. That is what we're trying to accomplish at this point. Okay, so rinse and repeat. Let's go ahead and rename some things. We need to apply a rigid body. Add some collision to it. Change the clip. Don't need it to be that high of a clip. Apply the rigid body. That's all good. Now let's apply all of our texture. This is all from the game. We'll go to our games on Steam. 22 data. Maps. UX. Nope, textures. Company warehouse diffuse. This is that guy. That on there, get our gloss. It should have a tangent on there already. Yes, it does. Cool. That'll allow us to put the normal to it. Okay, so our specular. And of course the normal. Hopefully this will be the last adjustment we'll have to make. Okay, anywhere else normal. Good deal. Now we can apply our building shader with custom parallax. Cool. That'll also add the snow feature. But the custom parallax is one deal as far as to add all the rigidness, I guess, as far as to the texture. So it kind of enhances on the normal and the specular map. As far as to add all that detail, I guess, as far as we see all the dents and bruises, I guess, as far as on the building. So we definitely want to maintain that if at all possible. That's all the reason why we're going through all these steps. Alright, so everything is applied. We'll go ahead and save this as a binary onto our desktop. Right over this guy. We want to do this as binary. Yes, please. We'll close that out. Now, at this point here, you can go ahead and save it again if you want. It's not going to hurt it any, because it's already created that shape file by doing binary. Just to satisfy, I guess, as far as this dialogue, you don't necessarily have to, though. Just for the hell of it, we'll go ahead and just save over it. This doesn't hurt anything. The main thing saving on binary is we're ensuring that we have the shapes file. Because if we just save it as an i3D without doing a binary, it's not going to create the shapes file. That's the only difference. Alright, so now we can open up this guy into here. And again, same as before, rinse and repeat. We want to import this newly saved i3D into here. Puts it right into place. Cut that out. Put it in the proper position in our scene graph. Pull out all of these items as far as for our interior and such. Did I? Hold on. No, I guess I did. So it did already apply but I forgot to check, I guess, as far as before I did that, to make sure that the translate was at complete 0, which it was. Obviously, I wouldn't have put it in the right spot if we would have brought it in, so we're good to go. Got a little bit ahead of myself there a little bit, but it would have definitely became clear if I didn't have the 0. If I hadn't zeroed out the translate, if it was evident, it would have been shifted as far as if I brought it into this transform here. So yeah, it turned out good. Always a good thing to check that though. Alright, so we got winter, snow cap. Paste that. So we're good to go, so we don't need this one anymore. Cool. So now we're all good to go. We can go ahead and save this one up again. So we'll go ahead and save right over our previous save in our map. Oh, we're going to replaceables, productions, save for production, right over that. Yes, please. Cool deal. Okay, so it is giving that LED out of range, I guess, as far as for... Yeah, so a lot of times what will happen too, I just happen to notice this, probably a fair thing to mention. If you get this error, I guess as far as for UVs are out of range, you saw how all that stuff was spaced out. Bring up the Blender file here real quick. So you see how this is all spaced out like it is? That's why you get that error. That's another reason why I'm not 100% sure. I mean, I kind of get it as far as why Giants did that way, just to kind of keep things easier to get to. The only thing that you will get if you keep these UVs spread out as much as it is like that is you'll get this error in the Giants editor to say that they're out of range. It still will apply the texture and still render, I guess, as far as the texture to the model and stuff, even in the game, but it will pose this error that you'll get in the console, I guess, as far as for that'll say the UVs are out of range. It's not really a serious issue. It's just taking into account that those UVs are so far out of range of ground zero, which in this case, ground zero is right here. So this is ground zero, basically where the 3D cursor is at. So the more you spread those UVs out from ground zero, there is an actual unforeseen boundary that's there. So the fact that it's bringing up those values of being -8 and 8, that means it's eight steps, I guess, as far as from ground zero and where it would expect it to be, for just to put it in as much in layman terms. Bottom line is it doesn't really pose an issue. It's just the game engine, as far as the the mechanics of how it applies the textures to the models, is saying, look, I'm seeing that these UVs are out that far out of range, I guess, as far as of ground zero. So just for some clarity, I guess, as far as on that, for anybody that was wondering what that was all about. Alright, so we got that production saved. Now all we gotta do is bring that over to our map in the game. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's switch it over, hopefully for the last time. It's a lot of rinse and repeat, I know. Switch it back over though. See what we got going on. Appreciate those that are continuing to stick around, I guess, as far as the process that goes into creating all these really cool things that we come to enjoy in Farming Simulator 22. Okay, let's get our stuff moved over here. So, whoops, dropped my mouse there for a second there. Apologize for that. So we got that all resituated. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I got other issues here. Give me a second here, folks. Alright, let's get our stuff moved over. So we are in our modding folder here. Refresh that real quick. So we need to move these two over. And bring that over to our map folder right here in our game. Yes, we want to replace those. Alright, cool. Now we can check that out. Load up the game. Let's go get it checked out. I always like to see the results, because good or bad, you always like to see some type of result based on the work you do. So far, it hasn't been anything that isn't totally resolvable. Nothing we can't fix. Alright, let's get it loaded up. Open up our dev console. As long as we don't see any more than just that one warning, I guess, as far as for the animal food, we should be good to go. So far, a pretty clean log. Always good to have a nice clean log. You know what I'm saying? A lot of dynamically loaded items, I guess, as far as you got the 11 different farms that are included with this. There are also items in the store based on those initially placed farms, the 11 farms that you can place individually. So if you want to use a lot of the same items, or if you want to clear out the existing farmlands that start at map start a new farmer, you can do that. Buy the area, clear it out, put your own items, I guess, as far as in the orientation that you want. It's going to be a lot of flexibility in the map in that regard. Okay, so here we are in the map. Let's go ahead and turn off autosave while we're testing. And spawn ourselves over to self-production industrial park. And there it should be. Still so far so good. Well, it's loading in there. We don't see any problems in the loggers with our model here. Now let's see how well did this get fixed over here. So we still got a little bit of poly crinkling, I guess, as far as in this corner. It's not that terrible, to be quite honest, but you can definitely see that that's all part of that recollapsing, I guess, as far as the individual parts, the detaching and recollapsing. That's about the really only bad spot. So some of these dents that we see in there, that's a part of the normal map and the custom parallax that we applied based on the building shader. This building has a little bit of rough, wear and tear on it based on that. So these other wingdings that you're seeing in here, that's kind of dents into the sheet metal. That's actually kind of cool. So other than that little bit of a break in the poly here in that corner, that's the only issue that I'm seeing as far as with that, which is very minimal. Very minimal. You can see that even on the inside. You can see it right there. But if you're not really looking at it, you're not looking for it, you won't even notice it. So for the most part, with all that we've had to collapse down, that was a lot of individual pieces. The fact that that's the only problem that we see, that's actually pretty good. I've seen it actually turn out much worse, I guess, as far as when you have that many pieces to collapse down. That's hence the reason why I take it a little bit at a time and not collapse it down and all in one big chunk, because you can definitely break the polys and the faces up even worse than what we're seeing there. Okay, so I guess what we'll do, now that we checked it over here, I'm going to go back over to the main farm that you start off with here in New Farmer. Let's go over here. Oop, that's the flat bottom. Give me the outhouse. There we go. Visit that guy. And let's put it down there in the same spot that we've been testing. Go into the store. Construction. Production. And let's put our picker production down. But not only do you have the one that loads in dynamically, as we already checked over the industrial park, you can put in any number of one of these down anywhere you like on the map. So we're going to put that one right there. And once again, we've got all of our fixes that we previously applied. As far as the clipping that we were noticing on the thresh was gone. That are clear and leveling areas. Nothing else is out of place. Still notice that broken poly, I guess, as far as in that corner. That's about it. Same as the one that's dynamically loaded. Alright, so let's check out the snow. Let's invoke some snow. Open up our easy dev. See how we look on our roof. Hopefully we're good to go at this point. Let's go. First off, I want to turn on our flight mode. On the weather, let's put this to February. So we can ensure there's going to be some snow. Do 8 in the morning, yes please. We want it to be snowing. And we'll add some snow on the ground too. Alright, cool. See how we look. So far, looking good. And you got the birds kind of perching out on there. They even like it. We got it on our strip here, all the way down. Oh, nope, we're still missing down here. So I don't know what's going on with this peak here. The fact that was the only part in our blender, going back to blender, that I just scooted it over just a little bit more. That obviously didn't fix it. So we're still missing a little bit here. But all of our trim around the border of the roof is definitely good to go. So yeah, it's still just that little piece there on the peak there that doesn't want to get in the right spot, I suppose. That's probably an additional. We'll take a look at the blender file and see what's going on with it, but looks like the majority of the rest of our roof is nice and covered. That's good. So the areas that we were having problems were the kitty corners, as far as over here. Is good. And also on this corner. It's just that that peak piece there seems to be giving us some trouble. Okay. We'll have to see what we can do with that. So it might come down to where we might have to scale it down, possibly. Might come down to that, but you know, we have seen some improvement, I guess, as far as on our adjustments that we make there, so that's good. That's very, very good. Awesome sauce. So we are making some positive progress on this. I do need to adjust the indoor areas. Should probably do that too. I'll think of it. So we'll take one more look at the blender file and see if we can't fix that peak. Yeah, change that peak on there. We're getting there, slowly but surely, but we're getting there. That's another pretty solid test. Kind of confirm what we still need to fix. All right, let's get out of that. And let me switch this back over. Okay, so we're back over here in our edit folder. And this one here, I don't need this anymore. We'll clean that out of our map folder. And the only thing we're focusing on right now is just the coming from Blender. So yeah, we still got some adjustments to make that peak piece, which is on this end, right there. So we are right there. So I'm thinking maybe we might need to scale that down just a skosh. So that's, I'm almost thinking, based on where it's not putting the snow on there, it's just still hanging out there a little too far. So I'm just going to scale that down just ever so slightly, just to make sure, I guess, as far as that it's so the only thing that this is controlling on this UV2 is just how the snow appears on this part. That's the only thing it's doing at this point. So the UV1, that's going to be the main texture, I guess, as far as that's going to be its own animal. The only thing we're controlling with UV2 is how the snow actually shows up on it. So I think what we're going to do, just kind of eyeballing this up there. I think it just ever so slightly, this is kind of hanging over a little too far. And I think that's why that's not getting covered with snow, because it's outside of that range of where the snow is from ground zero. So you don't want to go too far over to the right, otherwise you get that result that we just witnessed in there. So the only way we can tweak that is just to make sure we line up everything that we know is snow covered, like this piece of trim here, and just make sure everything lines up all the way through. So this one's probably just ever so slightly hanging over, and that's why we're not getting any snow on that part. So I'm just going to scale that down just a little bit to make sure that that's going to be in that zone, I guess, as far as where that snow should be applying to it. So let's select that, their selection tool. Select that whole thing. And what we'll do is we'll scale this down. If I remember right, I think it's just the X. No, I think it's actually, we want to go on the X, but I want to do S. I think that's what it is. S, and then on the X is X. So we want to do it just on the, whoa, easy there. Another approach I can take to this, let me do a Control Z, that back. Another approach I can take to this, since we know it's on this end, more than likely, I don't want to mess with the other end, so I'm just going to do it on the one end. So what I'll do is actually select, let's go by vertex. Here, let me actually, okay, let's go by vertex. Okay, let's deselect that. Selection tool. We just want to get up to, oh shoot. Okay, that may not work. Maybe we'll do it by face. Yeah, let's keep it by face. I only want to get this little bit here. I want to scale that in just a touch. Alright, so let's do, yeah, let's do it by face. I think that'll work better. Yeah. We just want to scale that down on the X just a little bit. You see, this is the problem area that we're having, and we can confirm too what we got selected here. This was not getting snow on it, so we can confirm that this is what needs to be adjusted. This is where we're not getting any snow. So we definitely need to get that scaled down. I might actually go a little bit more on the selection. A little bit. Oh, I didn't want that much though. That's probably a little bit more than I wanted, but okay, we'll go with it. So we'll go ahead and scale that on the X. Keep that in. We'll scale this whole thing down and we'll just move it in. So now we'll move it this way. Like so. Now we should be well enough. Oh, I moved the 3D cursor, just not a big deal. Move that back up there. Cool. Now we should be well enough within that zone on this edge for that to get covered with snow. At least in theory. At least in theory. Okay. We'll save this as yet another new Blender file. Select all that. I'll save this as, we'll do this as new D. Okay. Awesome, and we'll confirm that it did do that, which it did. Now we'll export this out. I'm going to go ahead and take out from our desktop our previous save of that. Again, as I've already previously mentioned, because when we export from Blender, it's only going to do the i3D without the shapes file, and it's just in binary. So if we don't delete this, I guess as far as just overwrite, you're going to get all that what was happening in the original shapes file to present itself in there. We don't want that. Don't want that. So I always just confirm, I guess, as far as to just delete the previous export of that entirely. Save again. You can always rename the i3D if you want to do that too. That's an option. Okay, so now we can go ahead and export out the i3D. And we're going to keep this as new V, that's fine. Right to the desktop. Okay, and then confirm on the desktop, it's right there. No shapes file, it's all in binary, so let's go ahead and open this up in the editor. And rinse and repeat. Alright, so it wasn't the very last time that we had to deal with it, but it was a minor adjustment. So, yeah, so we, again, still getting that error, I guess, as far as for them UVs being out of range. It's not a serious issue. I've already explained, I guess, as far as why it's telling us that. Okay, so we do want to put, because we got a tangent, we want to change the clip. Don't need it to be that high, and also add a rigid body to have the collision. Now we can apply our textures. Just a rinse and repeat process, that's all it is. You do it enough times, you get into a flow, as far as you just gotta know where everything's at. Especially when you're working on one model. Once I get one thing done, then I can move on to something else. We want to go to maps, textures. Whoops, gotta go to maps US then textures. There we go. So we got company warehouse diffuse. There's she be. And we got our gloss map. And just right on down the line. Like I said, rinse and repeat. Pretty good workflow for the most part. And our normal. company warehouse, normal. Voila. So everything, textures applied. Now we can do our shader. One thing I do like about this, if I haven't pointed this out before, this is new to Giants 9, I guess, as far as when you get this one here, you don't have to navigate to the shaders by default. It automatically puts you in that directory, which is so nice. It saves so much time. You have to re-navigate to that. Nice little added features, I guess, as far as the Giants editor, just like that. Makes it so nice. Alright, so custom parallax. Just kudos to Giants, I guess, as far as for thinking about that. So such things like the the search feature that's in the scene graph. If you've got a lot of items in your scene graph to be able to find stuff, just little tidbits like that, I guess, as far as it makes it so much nicer in the Giants editor. All right, so we got everything applied that we needed to. So we'll go ahead and save this as a binary to desktop. Right over this guy. Yes, please. Go ahead and close that out. I'll go ahead and save it again, just to humor it. Don't need to, but okay. So now that's there. Now we'll be able to bring that right back into here. And because everything is dollar data, we don't have to worry about adjusting the textures because we pointed everything to what's in the game, which is already dollar data. So that's kind of a nice step to take too. So we'll go import this guy. Already in position. So yeah, again, it's showing us that those UVs are out of range, just like before. It's not really anything to be concerned about. It's just kind of telling you, it's like you got those UVs out of that range, that far out of range of ground zero. The only thing it's telling you. The reason why Giants did that in the first place, still not 100% sure. I kind of get it because they were trying to keep everything. Kind of separated out to be easier to, instead of putting everything on top of it, one UV over top of another, it gets kind of cluttered, I guess, as far as when you do that. But to have it so far spread out, I guess it was just based on the design of the texture, anyway. Anywho, that's just a little bit of modeling, I guess, as far as observation. Alright, so we'll cut these out of here, put them back in our new model. Place those all into here, and then we can get rid of the other model. Cool beans. Alright, so we'll get rid of this guy, and we're good to go on this one, so go ahead and save that up. Just that simple. Alright, so we'll go into our map folder. Placeables, productions, paper production, and voila. Yes, please. Alrighty then. So that is all saved and ready to go. I'm gonna go ahead and close this out actually. Now that we're all done in the Giants editor. And okay, just confirming on there. So now we just gotta get these things moved back over to our mod directory in our game. So let's go ahead and switch it back over. Okay, so let's get these moved over. Again, hopefully for the last time. I know I said that last time, but this is these final tweaks that we got to make to it to get everything looking the way we want it to. So we need to take our i3D, our shapes file, our paper production, copy that, bring that over to here. Alright, yes please, and go into game, check it out. The fun part is always checking out the fruits of your labor, I guess, as far as in the game, to see how it actually turned out. I definitely enjoy that. We have figured out some things that we were having problems with previously. One of the things with having some of our dynamically loaded placeables have been figured out there, so some of them weren't wanting to invoke, I guess, as far as the use of all the triggers. We got a lot of that figured out. I'll probably go into that a little bit, I guess, as far as before we finish this out there, if we have, barring our time. We're only a little past 3 hours in the stream. Nice. Solid stream. We got a lot accomplished here, I feel. All right, let's go into a new save. Go into our Dairyland map. Load it up and bring up the console. We haven't seen any additional errors and such, I guess, as far as in our console, which is always a good thing. Always a good thing. Yeah, so the fact that everything's loading in nice and quick like that, we know that there's no other conflicts like with the farmlands that I was having previously that I already mentioned. Everything's loaded in nice and quick and smooth. That's what you like to see. That's when you know you got a really well optimized map. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn off the autosave. Don't need that while we're in testing. Let's go over to our paper production over at the industrial park. Okay, so here we're at. So just double checking to make sure everything is good to go here. Nothing went funky. Good to go. Let's go over to our main farm and put one down manually just to continue to test that. Alright, let's put this down. Go into our store. Construction, production. Paper production. I'll probably be changing this placeholder for, so the picture that I'm using, I guess, as far as it's just based on so what this is based on, if it hasn't become abundantly clear, is one of the storage garages that they have in Creek. So it was just kind of like an aesthetic type of building, as far as just to add some library, and it does have no interior to it. It has no interior to it. So we've taken the initiative, I guess, as far as to apply an interior to this, and I think it turned out pretty freaking sweet. It's pretty freaking sweet. So whether or not I will put operating doors is still yet to be seen. Really, all I wanted this for is to have an open building so that we could add a means, I guess, as far as to put inputs, I guess, as far as into the building. That being wood chips and water, as far as to make our paper pellet. So, yeah, I didn't do any adjustment, I guess, as far as the indoor areas, like I said I was going to, but I will make a note of that we still need to do that. So let's go ahead and go into our Easy Dev controls and check out our snow. Everything else is working out like we want it so far, so let's turn on our flight mode. Go right to February. 8 in the morning. Yes, please. Some snow, and we'll add some to the ground too. Why not? Okay, let's see how we look. What we're hoping to see is mostly on that peak that we got snow on that now. And it's still not covered. You son of a gun. Not really sure what else I would need to do there. So y'all saw, I guess, as far as what I had highlighted and selected in Blender. It's still not wanting to apply snow to that. I'm not 100% sure why. Everything else is covered really nice. It's just that one little spot. Now we had it previously covered, so it may just come down to I might need to move it up closer, I guess, as far as to ground zero, as well as keep that scaling that we also applied to. So maybe just to move it up, but also to ensure, I guess, as far as it's to the right, I guess, of ground zero of our primary texture. That might be the only other thing I can think to do. That's the only other thing I can think to do. So unfortunately, we still got another adjustment to make. Get that all completely covered, but for the most part, it's turned out pretty good. Pretty solid. All right, let's look back up in here. So I still got to do the indoor areas. So yeah, we're gonna take a look, I think, just one more time at what's going on with that piece of trim on the peak. So it's probably going to be evident also over on this one. Let's just double check. Should be evident. It's relatively the same building. Check this one out here too, just to confirm. Yep. So it's not just a fluke with placing it manually as opposed to loading dynamically. It's just a problem with the UV2 on the texture of that building. That's all it is. So, yep, we gotta go back into Blender and see what we can do. Alright. Positive test. Go ahead and jump out of here. Old beans. Alright, we're gonna switch this back over. I would like to say, I guess, as far as from maybe one last time, but this is at least the second time, I guess, as far as that we've had to go back into it again. And that is what happens. Alright, let's switch it back over. Okay. So let's go back into our Blender and see what we can do. Alright, so we're on this area right here. So the only other thing I can think to do is just to bring it closer upwards, I guess, as far as to ground zero, but still keep it to the right. And hopefully that might fix our issue. It's still not wanting to paint this end, as far as with snow in our UV2. Okay. So we know that much for sure. So what we'll do, let's retile this again and see how far we need to move this up. So properties, let's tile that. I know how funky this can be. So we'll probably move it up to... Wow. So the only place we can really move it would be here, which is going to put that in the way. Let's see. Let me zoom in here real quick. Yeah, so we're currently right here. The next one up would be here. I want to get it as close to ground zero as possible. So ground zero would be up here. Let's see where the 3D cursor is. That's ground zero for our primary texture. So we're already using okay. What is this part here? Let's check to see what this is. Let's find out what that is right there. Let's select that. So that is... Well, that's our door handle. That's on our door handle and right there. Okay, so that we don't have to worry about. We can probably move that over. Probably move that over. As long as it stays within that same range of the texture. Okay. That way we would have room, I guess, as far as to bring this up to there. Okay. I might try that. What about... What is this spot? Select that. We're just going to see what we can move around here. Anyway. Oh shoot, I did it again. Push that key that I didn't want to push. Uh-oh. I don't know what I'm pushing there that makes me not be able to do anything. I'm not sure. I'm getting into some kind of mode. Dadgummit. I don't know what I pushed. Wrong key, I know that's for sure. It doesn't toggle, that's for sure. Oh, come on, man. Shoot, now I moved my ground zero. Son of a gun, let's turn that off. Let's move our ground zero back to there. Turn it back on repeat. There are so many functions in Blender that drive me absolutely nuts, and this is just one of them. Alright, so we're good. Whatever I pushed, I guess, as far as I got out of it. And so I wanted to see what this was. Was that part of our... Wait, that's part of our trim? Hold on. Oh, that's the side of the trim. Okay, that much we don't... We could probably move that over as well. Yeah, I could probably move either that one or this one over. I think I'm going to move this one over so I can move that. I want to be as close to ground zero with this as possible and put it to the right. Just to hopefully get that corrected, I guess, as far as whether not putting any snow on that peak there. But I think what I'll do is I'll move this over in our UV2. Yep, let's slide it over like so. I want to make enough room that we can put all of this over here. Yep. I think that's enough room. We might have to move it just a little more. Move it over just a tad more. Okay, now we can take this, deselect that, select all this again. Okay, you can all see we got that. Now we can move it up here. I don't know if this is going to fix it or not. That's the only other thing I can think of because I've already eliminated, I guess, as far as the two things, having it to the right of ground zero and also making sure that that doesn't extend too far. It's still not wanting to paint the snow onto that, so this is my other option I can think of. Get that to get it all covered with snow. So we're going to move it up to here. Okay. Now I'm going to untile that. And now we just need to move it to the left just a tad. See how we're kind of taking away, I guess, as far as when we adjusted previously. So I'm just going to scoot it over to the left just a little bit, but still stay to the right of ground zero of our primary UV coordinate for UV1. Okay. Move it over this way. So. Okay, let's see if that fixes it. So we'll go ahead and save that. Let's get rid of this window. Save this as a new Blender file. And we'll do this one as E. Save that. And let's confirm that it did do that. Awesome. Now let's export that out. Let's take out that previous I through D. And let's go ahead and export that out. Get that out. Cool. Nice. Alright, let's go into here. There's our binary I through D. Let's open this up and rinse and repeat. Hopefully this will do it. How many times have we said that so far? It's these little minor tweaks there, so it's a little bit, you know, that's the limit, I guess, as far as to my knowledge of how to get the snow applied. It's just what I've been showing so far. So if anybody wants to have that applied there, this would be the approach that you would take to it. It's just sometimes a little finicky, I guess, as far as to get your parts, I guess, as far as within that zone that needs to be outside of ground zero of the texture. So you're kind of basing it on the primary, where the primary is located at 0, 0, or your UV2. You just need to make sure that it's far enough to the right and or left of it, but not too far out to where it's not going to cover it all in snow. Alright, so we need to do rigid body. Change the clip. And now we can just apply the textures. Rinse and repeat. Okay, so we'll do data maps, texture. Company warehouse diffuse. It's easy to choose the wrong one too. I've done that before, but I've done it enough times to know which one it is. So once it shows it up in the preview, I know I got the right one. We got our gloss. Done it enough times to know. The fact that I haven't selected the wrong one, it kind of goes to show you how many times that I have done this. Just for this one item. Okay, so now we need warehouse normal, so there's all the textures. Now building shader, whoops. Okay, and custom parallax, noise. Okay, so that's done. Let's go ahead and save that as a binary. Right over top of this one. Yes, please. Whoops, and I actually did save that as I through D, but I'm gonna also do that as binary. So either way you do it, if you save it as an I through D, it's just not going to create the shapes file. But what I do want to ensure is that I do get the shapes file. So let's do save as. See how it doesn't create the shapes file when you save as an I through D? So you got to do is binary if you want it to produce that shapes file. Now I'll just do it again. Okay. And I've already saved it as an i3D, so it's not going to give me an error that it saved it. There we go. So we got our shapes file, so we're all good to go. So just to confirm, once again, as I've been saying, it's all dollar data. It's all reading right from the game. Nothing's new. It is referring to our blend file that created this. We can adjust that to not have that if we want to. Not really going to matter, because once we bring it into our paper production, that's not going to be relevant anymore, so not a big deal. Okay, now we need to open up our paper production and reapply that i3D. Hopefully this will be it. We're going to cross our fingers. We do have the cross fingers emote. That's another good reason why we've got the cross fingers emote. We're kind of hoping, I guess, as far as that this works this time. Everything will turn out. So if you are following the channel and you're watching, feel free to use the cross fingers emotes. That this works good for us. Alright, so we'll get our paper production loaded up. Yeah, let me point to that first. I'll have to point back to our model that we need to bring in, but that's fine. Placeables, productions, there we go. So there's that. Spin this around actually. Oh, this looks so good though. It turned out so good. All this work that we've done to it, to have it turn out the way it is, magnifique. Let's do import desktop and bring this in. Boom. So at this point, because we've saved it, it's not giving us that error anymore. So interesting. So I wonder if by moving that one piece there, that might help it out. So that's probably a good sign that we're not getting that error for the UV out of range. So maybe we corrected that problem, hopefully. All in theory, but we'll see. Once we get into the game, we'll be able to know for sure. Alright, let's put this in the right spot. Okay, and we'll bring all these items in. Rinse and repeat. All it is, rinse and repeat. Alright, cool. So we can get rid of that one and save this one up. That is placeables, production. And yes, please. Cool. Alright, so now we can get this moved over. And with that, we're gonna switch it back over to our mod folder. Over in our game. See you over there. Alrighty then, so let's see here. We gotta bring this guy over that we just saved. Copy these two. Paste them in. Place, yes. Awesome. Alright, so let's see how this turns. See how it turns out this time. Oh, I did that again with my cycle through that on my giant editor. There we go. Cool. Alright, let's go in the game and check this out. Hopefully, get those cross fingers out there. Hope everybody's crossing the fingers and toes, and we'll get this figured out. Get all nice, looking nice and good. New farmer, or map, and load her up. Okay, we're so good. Yeah, we're so good. Good thing we were able to go. Nothing went too crazy, so we're just closing in at 3.5 hours in the stream. Good stuff. Hope everybody's doing good out there. I know I'm doing fantastic. I'm liking the way this is working out so far. Got a clean log. It loads in nice and quick and smooth and clean. Lovely. Yeah, love to see it. Alright, so let's go ahead and turn off autosave. Let's go spawn over to our paper production over at the industrial park. So that is still loading in beautifully. Okay, we're gonna go back over to our main farm. Put one of these down manually. Just to confirm everything is working marvelously. Alright, let's go to the store. Construction. Production. I am starting to get super duper hungry, so barring how this works out here, see how we go there. Doing this type of work for that length of time, it definitely gets you hungry, that's for sure. Alright, so that looks good. Alright, let's go ahead and invoke the snow. Already know what the drill is. Alright, let's bring in our dev controls. Okay, turn on the flight mode. Weather, go right to February. 8 in the morning, yes. Get it snowing. And don't really need to do the snow on the ground necessarily, but you know, just to get it the full effect here. Oh crap, how did we screw that up? Now it's not doing it over here. What the frick? Ah, no. You're killing me, Smalls. How did that happen? Now we're not getting it on here, so we did get it. We fixed the peak, but now we're not getting it on this part. How did that happen? What in the world? This is what I've been dealing with as far as to get that to work. I didn't even touch that part. Oh my goodness. So we got it fixed on the peak. Now it's not getting it on this. What about this end? Yeah, so somehow we messed up the gable ends on the... What the world? Now we're just playing some ping pong with this now. So we fixed one issue, but then found another issue. You son of a gun. I didn't even adjust any of that. That's super annoying. I'm telling you. Anyway, at least you get a sense, I guess, as far as of what you deal with in here. So I don't know if one of the pieces, I'm looking at this as we got it in the game here. Did I move? I don't believe I did, but let me double check here. What is it not painting on? So we got this corner. So I'm just checking some things on Blender while I got it open. So it's on this upright. I didn't even touch that, so how the heck? Oh, I did. Oh, crap. I see what I did. I sure did. So that one that I did move, yep, that was part of... Oh, no. Okay, let me move this over here real quick so you can see what I'm looking at. So the one piece that I moved was related, I guess, as far as, so this piece here, that was one of them that I moved to get this trim in there. So yeah, that does make sense that it did do that. This part was over to the right. Shoot. So that was not the best spot to put that in, I suppose. Let me see what else is in here. Deselect that. Yep. Oh shoot. Did I move the wrong one? I think I meant to move this here. I think I just moved the wrong one is all I did. I was trying to get this here as close to ground zero as possible, which we did fix that, as we can see in the game, but I moved this out of the zone here. So, son of a gun. And let me tile this real quick and see where we can, what else we can adjust. Dag nabbit anyway. We fixed one problem and propagated another problem. So I think see, unfortunately I'm not going to be able to put all of this stuff, I guess, as far as in one line here, otherwise I'll be too far over and cram it all into one spot. that is potentially something I can do, is just to kind of overlap the different parts. You could do that too. And by that, if I zoom back in here, what I could do is move this part here over top of this. I could do that too, just to kind of eliminate that. Okay, so maybe that's what we'll do. We're going to move this part that is not covering. It should also be evident over on this side. Let me see. Let me shift this over. So that should be over here too. Yep. So that's why that's not covering on those ends. So what we need to do is I'm going to overlap this highlighted piece right over this that we know is covered in snow. As far as checking that out in the game. I was trying to not overlap stuff, but it's kind of proving we got very limited real estate that we can apply these different parts to in that little strip for our trim, so we're just going to make the best of it. So let's go ahead and move this highlighted thing over top of this, like so. We're going to go just like that. Cool, now let's untile this. Now we know that this part here, oh shoot, I didn't get it all. Alright, let me, Rosie, I didn't get it all. Let me go ahead and make sure we got it all selected. Don't be missing any parts. Deselect that. Let's make sure we get all of it selected. Okay, now let's slide it over. So as I was saying, we know that this part here that I'm overlapping this to is completely covered in snow. So I'm just going to force the issue, I guess, as far as to make sure that this is going to get covered in snow at this point. Again, I was trying to minimize, I guess, as far as how much overlap of other parts that we're trying to do, but it's kind of creating the necessity to have to do this to ensure that we get it covered with snow. Okay. Let me go ahead and get out of the game here. Let's go ahead and get out of this. And we'll get this Blender file saved up, get it re-exported, and go from there. Okay. So while I slide the game open there, I was just ensuring as far as I had everything that I needed to have, which we did. Okay, so we need to... Now, in theory, y'all see what I'm doing here, I guess, as far as we know what part is covered in snow. We did confirm that, so I just overlap the parts that are not showing snow and put that over top of the part that we know has snow. So, should be no reason why none of that should all be covered with snow at this point. Alright, so let's go ahead and save this as a new Blender file. Save this one as F. And we'll confirm, I guess it did do that. Which it did. We'll go ahead and delete out this i3D in shapes and spit out a new i3D. Okay, let's do export i3D. And bam. Alright, cool. So we should have that on our desktop. Open that up. Rinse and repeat. You know the drill. Everybody knows the drill. Alright, so definitely we're not getting that error anymore as far as with the UV being on the range. So I think all those adjustments that we made, and the UV2 in particular, have been corrected. So we don't get that error. Not that that was really an issue, it's just kind of informative. It's kind of telling you something, I guess, as far as what was going on. But yeah, we're not getting that anymore, so that means the adjustments that we made to those UVs, I guess, as far as, especially in the UV2, are not presenting themselves anymore. That's probably a good thing. And so, put distance 200. Apply a rigid body, because we do want to have collision to it. Apply our textures. Just a lot of rinse and repeat. Maps, US, texture, company warehouse diffuse. Okay, and we'll do the same for gloss and normal. Okay. And our normal. Right there. Sweet. So there's all our textures. Now we can do our shader. Shader with custom parallax. Voila. That's all done. Let's go ahead and save as a binary on our desktop. And as I've already shown, you can do it either way, just as long as you do it as binary. In some steps, you get that shapes file. Go ahead and save that as well and close that out. Cool. Now we can bring it back into our pixel production. Interesting. Okay. Nothing of concern. That's cool. Paste. Bring in all these interior and such aspects. Rinse and repeat. I love it. Okay, now we can take this one out. Save this one up. And in our mat directory. Yes, please. Alright. Okay, we'll leave that open. Now, let's switch back over. Hopefully for the last time. Again, we're crossing our fingers. We need more cross fingers, I guess, as far as to sure this is going to work. Give me the cross fingers out there. You're hanging out there. Usually you're hanging out. Alright, let's switch this over. Alright, let's get this stuff moved over. Alright, so this is where we saved it. 3D shapes file. Bring that over to our mod folder. Go in the game, check it out. I really do like it, I guess, as far as I get much satisfaction, I guess, as far as when everything works out the way it has been. This is just enjoying the fruits of the labor as far as being able to check it out in game. Alright, so hopefully this will be the last time. We're getting the cross fingers, across your toes too, if you got them. Cross your fingers and toes, it just works the way we want it to. Okay. Right, clean log still. Alright, so I think the approach I'm going to take, I'm just going to stay right here at the main farm. So far, everything that we've done, I guess, as far as that, we can always check back over at the industrial part after we do that, but so far, all the tests that we've done, the one that's dynamically loaded is working just fine. Alright, let's check it out over here, though. Kind of speed things along. So we'll go production. Let's put this down here. Voila. Alright, let's go right into setting our weather. Going to Easy Dev. Got our flight mode. And our weather. So let's go right to February. 8 o'clock in the morning. Yes, please. Some snow. And some underground, why not? Alright, let's see how we did now. Tell me this worked. Please tell me this worked. Alright, looking good there. Should have no bare spots now. No bare spots, no whammies. I think we're good, folks. I think we finally nailed it. We got snow everywhere on the roof that we expected to be. No bare spots. It's a really cool feature, I guess, as far as with that frost on there when it's snowing. Now, you can actually invoke this to see the snow pile onto it. In fact, I can kind of go into our easy dev, kind of advance. Actually, we can just advance the time a little bit. We just have to make sure it continues to snow in order to see the snow actually, the snow pack, the snow pile show up on the roof. So if the snow does stop as we progress this through, I might have to put it on January and then progress it into February so that we can get a continuous amount of snow in order for that snow pile to show up on the roof. If it continues to snow here through February, we should be able to see it. There's no way to just populate it on. Yeah, see, it's already going away. So I'm going to set this over to January, and then we'll transition into February, and that should give us the snow pile on the roof. So let's go to January, just at 8 in the morning. Yes, make sure it's snowing. Cool. Now if we transition into February, it continues to snow from January to February, we should be able to see that transition of the snow pile up on the roof. But we've already confirmed or whatever, the frost on the roof is solid. We're good. You don't need to do any more adjustments to that. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. Alright, so let's just advance the time. Try not to go too fast with this, because if you whip right through the month, because I only got it on 1 day months, I could probably increase that in the settings, but now that I think of that too, I did not turn off the autosave. Did I turn off autosave? Let me double check here real quick. I did not. Let me turn that off. Okay, we did lose the snow on the ground. Let's see if we do lose the snow on the roof. If we lose the snow on the roof, then I know I gotta restart it. We're still in January. As we get to February, as the snow continues to fall, we should see that snow. Nope, it went away. So it may not show. Yeah, I'm gonna have to re-invoke the snow. Hold on a second. Not a perfect science when it comes to the easy dev, but definitely when it stops snowing, the physical snow, and the snow goes away on the roof, as far as the frost, then you have to restart it. So let's do that. Re-invoke all the things. There we go. In order to ensure, I guess, as far as that the snow pile is going to show up on the roof, it has to continue to snow from 1 month to the next. That's usually, well, sometimes it works, sometimes it already went away. Son of a gun. Alright, let's see if it comes back. It's not going to come back. Alright, let's go ahead and restart it again. A little finicky, I guess, as far as to get that to work right with this easy dev controls, but I've found that it works better to start up in January and transition into February. But it has to continue to snow, and you can't. If you lose the frost that's on the roof, then you have to restart it. Okay, so yes, get it snowing. We'll put the snow on the ground. All right, so we're good to go so far. So it basically just has to continue to snow through January going into February, and we don't lose the snow on the roof. If you lose the snow on the roof, then you have to restart it. You don't get it so much in January as much as you do in February. And I could probably try something even different. So if we lose the snow on the roof, we'll have to restart this. I might go later into January and roll it into February with the snow, and that should give us a good result. But for anybody that does want to know if you want to test out how your snow is working on that, this is kind of the approaches I've been taking. We're not. Oh, we lost the frost. Okay, so let me slow this back down. So what I'm going to need to do. Oh, now the snow came back. That's funny. Alright, so let's do this. We already lost the snow on the roof. The frost, anyway. So let's go late into January, so about, oops, let's go 2100. We want it snowing, and we had snow on the ground. Alright, so we might have to turn on the flashlight to actually see what's going on here. So if it continues to snow as we transition it over to February, we should get the snow pile up on the roof. All in theory, but here we go. Speed it up just a tad. Doing it this way, obviously, it's a little bit tough to get it show during the day. The snow on the ground will wait. As long as we don't lose it on the roof, we should be okay. As we transition to February. There it goes. So that's another way, I guess, as far as you can go about it. To go, like I said, if you want it to show during the day, take the other approach that I was showing previously. But that's another way to do. Once you get it, continue to snow tail end of January going into February, and then that snowpack will show. So that's all been confirmed at this point. That's all original, I guess, as far as to that original building that Giants created. So that's nothing I did, but it's definitely showing on there. Not only the frost, but also the snow pile on top of the roof. Cool. Now, I don't know if we can try and advance this to see if it'll go into daytime and still remain on there. There's no guarantee on that though. So let's see here. Let's just, if we can advance this and get a little bit of daylight. I don't want to go too fast. Just to kind of give an idea of how long it stays. So as long as it continues to snow, especially February is the key month, I guess, as far as where you'll get this populating. Not so much in December or January. February is like the sweet spot when it comes to winter, especially when you got it on one-day months. I still got the flashlight on, but I'm just seeing if I can get a little bit more daylight. See how long this actually stays on here. Actually staying on there quite a good amount of time. So we're already 4 hours, I guess, as far as into when it initially invoked, which was right at midnight, I guess, as far as when. Okay, so the snow stopped. So more than likely that snow pile on the roof is going to go away. The key thing is February, and it has to be snowing for that snow pile to actually show. So if you want it to test that out, this is the way to do it. Not to go too fast, I guess, as far as on the how fast you move it forward. If you go anything over 1,000, you tend to whip right past it. So right now I just got it 240 times speed. And we are getting some daylight, which is good. And it's still there, even after the snow stops, so that's good. Alright, let's turn our flashlight off. So if we wanted to take a screenshot, we can do that. That turned out pretty freaking cool. Now, the one thing that I always found kind of strange, and this is any building that has skylights, to include even the cow sheds, you can still see through the snow. You can still see the sky. I haven't really figured out a means, I guess, as far as to get that not be like that, but that is something I've noticed in a lot of even the Giants buildings. If you look at a lot of the cow buildings that have a skylight, when there's snow on the roof, you can still see through it, as far as through the skylight. It's kind of funny. Yeah, I say that's a pretty solid test there, folks. We've got everything figured out, I guess, as far as with getting the frost on there, as well as the snow. We even got icicles. That's all by default. I didn't do any of that. That's all based on the default building. So we even got icicles. That's pretty stinking cool, actually. So we try to maintain as much as possible, I guess, as far as with the initial aspects of the Giants building. Just the only thing different was to add an interior to it. So by being able to apply that building shader, you utilize, I guess, as far as everything that was there by originally, we've been able to salvage that. Cool beans. Awesome. So now we got a. I don't know if this what kind of storage facility building. I guess as far as that was previously in Elm Creek, as a production building that we can actually have interaction into the inside of it. Cool beans. I hope everybody did enjoy this. I'm starting to get super duper hungry. I do appreciate everybody that did stick around to see what we got going on here for our Modeling Monday. This is starting to become a habit, I guess, as far as doing the Modeling Mondays. They're still relatively impromptu and pretty tentative, but probably up until we get to the point where the map will be officially released. I guess as far as at this point, it's looking like it's going to be around spring, as far as the early part of spring. So coming next month, about this time, it should be out there. That's kind of the goal at this point. That was my latest date, I guess, as far as to be considered for those that are kind of following the progress of the development of Dairyland 4X. Do appreciate everybody that, I guess, as far as it has been supporting, I guess, as far as what's been going on with the development of it. I hope you've enjoyed this stream. I know I had a lot of fun, a lot of progress made. Super thrilled. I am getting hungry now, though, after doing all this hard work. I feel like I need to reward myself a little bit. So I hope everybody else enjoys the rest of their evening, and feel free. We'll be streaming here again on the channel, I guess, as far as for whatever Wednesday in support of Wounded Warrior Project. Continuing the playthrough of Manbazu. I'll be doing some more upgrades to the truck, possibly. So hopefully you'll tune in for that. So if you've been hanging out, you like what you see, and you want to see more of it, hit the follow button on the channel, and make sure you get the notification when the streams are live. We got all the social medias are posted to the channel. We also have, let me go ahead and put these out into the chat. Oh, spelled that wrong, my bad. I always spell that wrong. Bear with me. They are posted to the channel too, but I also have them right there. Feel free to check those out at your leisure. We got the Rock Nation Discord. I'm also on the Twitter. And we have our Spline Design Studios Facebook group page that serves as our forum for the modding group that I belong, SplineDesignStudios.com. Feel free to check all those out at your leisure. Appreciate all that have to this point. Also on the YouTube channel. Been trying to get more shorts and exclusive content, I guess, if they're over on the YouTube channel. Very much appreciate everybody that has checked all those out there. We'll hopefully see you all again real soon. Later, everybody.